Hey, you know what we should do? You know the thing where you do one word per person?
One word?
You know,
oh yeah,
that.
like, what are we gonna do?
I'll start on me and we'll go that way.
Okay.
Hey!
You
People.
Fucking.
Welcome
to
Fucking.
Fuck.
my...
ass.
Fucking.
Fucking my ass.
Kingdom.
Yeah!
Oh, fucking
I said far, and then you went back to fucking or something like
fucking ass fucking king.
I thought you said fuck.
that. No, I said far.
Oh, I thought you said
Oh.
fuck.
Oh, we can
dear.
cut that. We can cut that.
No, I'm using
No,
that.
don't.
I have editing powers. I can use that.
Oh no.
Fuck.
Anyway, this is what, episode 17?
18. Now you fucked it up. You fucked it up this time.
Hey, I did fuck it up.
Yeah.
I did fuck it up. Is it really 18?
Yes.
Shit.
Yes.
Hey, and we got some special guests.
We've got 2 guests this time. This is the
Ooh.
first 4-man foursome podcast.
Foursome podcast.
Awesome podcast.
So and we've got a first timer on the podcast. We've got Lachlan, who plays Maple on the podcast. Yay!
Hi.
And returning with us is Lewis, who plays Storm.
Yay!
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 Less clapping for Storm.
That's rude.
Okay, so
It's good now.
we just had a pretty intense session. Actually, we just played it like just under an hour ago.
It's fresh.
Fresh in our minds. It's like 12:30 in the AM as we're recording this. And what do you guys think? Out of 10, with 5 being middle of the road. Not good, not bad.
Yeah.
7.
7.
I'll give it a 7.
Wait, why 7?
Because there's events that happened which don't happen often, and I think they were played really well. There was cool battle. But other than that, it was like quite a short session within that battle. When I say cool battle, I mean like what we'd never fought that before.
Oh, okay.
It was like
Yeah. Okay.
like it was new, and I like fighting new things because I genuinely didn't know how to handle the situation, which was, pretty evident, I think, as to the length of the combat we had in this session.
Okay. Lachlan?
Yeah. Probably like a 6.
Okay.
Yeah. I agree. Like the new fight was interesting. We all did the best with what we had at the time.
Okay. I would say that it's probably a 6.5. I thought it was okay. I did find that last fight pretty frustrating, like just from a player's perspective. But we will get to that. DM, your thoughts?
I could tell you were getting frustrated.
Yeah.
But I kept going anyway, so I guess.
Yeah.
Would you say the session was bussin'?
Man, fuck you. I mean, it has to be like an 8 or a 9 to be bussin', right?
Yeah, true.
So it's not bussin'.
No, is that straight bussin' or is that a 10?
Straight bussin' is like an 11. So.
I feel like
Almost
bussin' is ill-defined. Is it good? It's good,
It's good,
right?
like very good. Good,
Yeah.
good or very good.
It's bossing.
Bussin'.
Yeah. As for me, maybe 5.5, 5.5.
Mm.
It was like a better than average session.
You gave the
Is
last session quite a low rating as well, though.
I did get the loss.
You
Is
feel
that
you're
your
feeling pretty
enjoyment?
low right now.
It's not my enjoyment. I enjoy every
Just
session.
a rating. How do you rate? Like,
It's
what do you
just,
consider when
like,
you rate?
What it could have been versus what it was.
Mm.
And in my head, I always have this like, oh, it's gonna be fucking sick. Like all the shit's gonna go down. It's gonna be cool. And the end result's like, oh yeah, it was alright. It was good, but it wasn't like in my head. It was gonna go great, good.
Mm.
So that's where the great disparity between 5 and 10 comes in. So once it reaches, like what I think in my head, then it'll be like a 9 or a 10.
Well, I'm going to ask you in each individual bit where you think it went wrong then.
Wrong is not the right
Where
word.
it didn't go optimal? Where it wasn't
Where
straight
it
bussin'?
could have
Where it
been
could have
better?
gone
Yes.
better. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Alright, should we jump straight into the recap if no one else has anything
Well-
to say outside of that?
If you have heard, and if my editing skills are right, you will have heard the new and improved opening theme song.
The new theme song.
Hell
Yes.
Yeah.
What inspired you to make a new theme song? That was kind of like out of the blue.
It was out of the blue, and I only messaged you about it like 3 days ago. And
I feel like you messaged us like yesterday.
I was drunk when I messaged you. I know that. And I had the thought in my head for a long time of like the first one I made. Obviously, I want to make I do make music outside of this, just myself, but also this is a great opportunity to make music I don't usually make because it's kind of fantasy inspired.
Yeah.
But I wanted to change it up because listening as the podcast come back, I'm listening to the theme song, and while it's good, I was like, there's a little something
It
extra
could
there.
be bussin'.
Yeah, it could be, and yet we're getting there, and I feel like there's more iterations to come. But we'll leave this one for your next 18 or so.
I mean, this is kind of bussin'.
It
I'm
is.
not gonna
It's
lie, I
pretty
really like this
I wanna
one.
hear a
I
full
actually
medley.
really like this one.
Well, I like the
Years to
idea
come.
that as we progress, like it could be that the original one was like our Tidewater kind of traveling one, and then this is now a Hurrier kind of. It's got a bit
for
more
each
power to it
place.
because everyone's kind of engaged more in the role. It all seems a bit more serious than it was before.
There's a lot more tension.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then maybe when we move to the next place, it could have a theme related to that. We'll see.
Maybe one day he can make like the Axia soundtrack.
Yeah, and there can
We'll
be.
use that as the playlist.
We can
instead
like
of
do
the-
compilations and do soundtracks and stuff.
Yeah,
you
instead
know,
of the crappy
Crappy.
the
The
playlist.
Witcher.
YouTube on the ads
The
that
one,
you hear
the,
in them.
the ads,
It was.
and also the random Cuphead music.
I don't know why that was in there.
It's so funny.
And it was it well.
It was
An
wild.
important event. It
Yeah, it
was-
was a very important event, and this Cuphead jungle like.
I really like that song too, just not in
Oh,
this
it's great.
circumstance.
Well, I feel like everything was like oppressive boss music, something you'd hear out of Bloodborne, and then finally you're like, doo, 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 doo,
It's
doo.
Floral Fury. It's a good song, just
We
not
had some.
right now.
We had some apes going, so I feel
We
like
did.
that was
We did
Donkey
have
Schlong.
things going.
foresty.
The
tunes.
but yeah, new theme song for you, and yeah, hopefully we'll keep going, keep improving, getting newer and newer ones out there.
Yeah, yeah. Another 4 months. Might
Another
have
4 months.
Have another one.
Yeah, I mean, all things confessed, I had another one written, and it was like a metal one.
Ooh.
Whereas like the theme was like an electric guitar doing the dun 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 dun, and it was dun 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 in the background.
Dun, dun, dun,
But
dun, dun.
I scrapped the entire thing
Oh.
at about 4:30 today, and between 4:30 and 5:30, I wrote and
Oh wow.
I wrote and recorded this one. So
Well, no pressure to
from
like.
the heart.
Yeah.
We don't like pressure you to make those.
No,
or
it's all me.
anything like that,
I enjoy
so,
making them.
Yeah, don't feel too pressured to make those if you feel like that's.
I write
anything
music
or-
all the time, so it just depends what my vibe is, whether it's for myself, my band, or for random stuff like this.
Well, great. So yeah, follow him on Spotify under Golden Flag or just Gold Flag.
Gold Flag on Spotify,
SoundCloud.
also Sweet Banana, but
And
I think my
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud is linked.
We got to update the description for.
I'll give you my link tree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
we'll-
we only have his SoundCloud right now.
We'll fix
yeah.
it.
We've had that for months.
We'll get it sorted.
We got it sorted.
We'll get it sorted.
We got it sorted.
Okay, shall we jump into the recap? So I think I did most of the recap last time. So if you want to take the recap this time, Albert.
Why me when we have two guests who can do it for me?
Ooh.
We should say
Oh,
it
no.
exactly the same time. Are you ready?
All right.
First line.
Yep.
First, you ready? 3, 2, 1.
Blood
BB.
Brothers. That's not.
Here we go again. You ready? We'll say Blood
Blood
Brothers.
Brothers. Blood
3,
Brothers.
2, 1. Blood Brothers try on the glasses that do nothing but burn storm.
Some sick fire damage.
I really
It,
hope
it
that
does
was
suck. I
audible.
was the only one who received fire damage.
You're like, you know, in movies where you shoot a hostage to make sure all the other hostages
I was like
do as
the-
they're told.
It was like,
You're the sacrifice.
watch what happens.
Yeah.
It was 6 damage. You know, I think I've ended up the most healthy. So
That could have meant something
The
though.
difference between
you know?
life
it could have been
It-
the difference at some point, but I was lucky in the fact that King Kong
Luck
happened.
This is
does
true.
play a huge factor in this.
It does.
one.
I feel like I'm quite lucky at the moment.
Well, what did you
We
guys
all
think
got
about
lucky.
the whole glasses Shazam?
That's fun.
I really liked it, and I
Yeah.
liked that
Yeah.
it forced opportunity to every player to do something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm quite a dominating player in the RP scene, so I have no issue with it being taken away from me and given to other people forcefully.
Yeah.
And whether other people have issue doing the RP, I don't think they do.
I think we're good now. I think
Mm.
so. Would you
Yeah.
say so?
I agree.
Okay. Well, low key, I was like, Lewis is definitely gonna try it on first. Like I already knew as I was writing, I was like, he's gonna try them on first.
But I asked, didn't I?
You did
I
ask.
did
if someone
ask
else
to put
wanted
them
and
on.
I
Did
was
ask if someone else wanted
Everyone
to.
else is gonna say no, so he's gonna be the first one to do it.
Storm never dies, and yet he's always the one to put his ass out on the line. He's the luckiest little tabaxi there's ever been.
I mean, you could have died a number of times.
There's been a lot of times
In the
where
past
I've
few
It's
died.
a lot of
sessions.
luck.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of luck. I mean, the glasses themselves, they transport someone back in time. Or at least that's what the assumption is. They transport somebody to a time when the castle is not dilapidated and all crypty and cobwebby. And there's a ball going on, and it puts back whoever it puts on the glasses into that time, and there's some kind of interaction between them and the party that allows them to progress through the castle as the intended mechanic or theme of the place itself. Which kind of comes back and forth between most rooms, I'd say. Actually, every room, I think. After that,
Do you want to say it this time?
You don't want to continue with the.
Alright, you ready?
the-
3, 2,
here we
1.
go.
They continue into the castle, into a large room doors numbered 1 to 9
Ah.
with portraits with their faces traits.
I didn't get the comma in that one. There was no
All
comma.
right, I'm going to summarize that into real words.
Yes.
Sorry, Kevin. But
I'll let you have this one.
we went into the actual castle, and entering into the first large room was a double door with 4 panels that had it's like a revolving lock, so
Yeah.
0 to 9 in each of the panels.
Oh,
And
that's
then-
what it meant. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I thought the portraits had like a number on them.
No.
And I think that last word is supposed to say with their faces scratched out, but for some reason it
Traits.
autocorrected with crate and it
Faces
didn't.
traits.
Oh.
Well, yeah, there was a bunch of portraits on the floor with the faces on the portraits scratched out in like a claw-like manner, and then the glasses started to vibrate. And who put on the glasses, Kevin?
I think it was Tokul. So Matt was away this week, so I decided to take over Tokul for this session, which is a first. I don't think we've ever done that before. Have another player take it over. Before I continue, what do you guys think of me as Tokul? It's different, right?
Of course, it's different because it's almost like a caricature of the character itself, right? Because we only remember the big bits.
At first, I was just kind of like making fun,
Yeah.
but then later on, I try to play him pretty straight. After that,
I think you picked up his essence, but obviously nothing's the same than
Yeah, it's never
having an
gonna be
actual
the
player there.
hear that, Matt? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want you. I don't know, I'm not going to say pissed, that's not the right word. Like, I was a bit annoyed that you gave a pivotal narrative role to the person who wasn't here. I was like,
I didn't think you were going to
Oh,
let it
man.
happen. I thought you were just going to say the glasses don't work for Tokul.
but that doesn't really make sense now. I mean, like,
You never
Immersion
explained what the
lines.
glasses did. So you could have just said, nah, it doesn't work for
Yeah,
Dragon.
I
just fuck you in particular.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
thought that the glasses had to be worn by a certain person in order. I think we spoke about that like at the end of the last session, and that was brought up, and I was like, oh, maybe it's like the next person in line has to wear them.
Maybe. My general thought was that the glasses can only be worn by someone once.
Mm.
It doesn't matter who, but after that, they can't use them anymore. So whoever goes, goes. And that, in my head, I was like, okay, I guess Tokul's putting them on. We're doing this, haha. And then he put them on. What happened, Mr. Tokul?
well, he got transported into, again, a past version of the room they were in. Lots of people admiring the now newer portraits. There's a panel at the end with a door that had like a special code on it. I think it was 6245.
Yep.
And with the portraits, there was several portraits there. I think 4 in total, each with a certain number of family members on there. There was like the grandparents, the husband and wife, and the 2 kids. Tokul, I think, tried to speak to someone or go into the door a couple times. Didn't work. Then decided to try and fiddle with the paintings on the floor. He put one up on the wall, which affected the present version of the room.
Yes.
So what happened to the present
Yeah,
version?
so
They-
we
like
saw the portraits come up on the wall. Do they fade into existence?
Yeah, it was more like, you know, people shimmer in and out.
Yeah.
It was the painting shimmering in and out.
Yeah, and I think Tokul, in a conversation with the artist himself, Don Darius, which I think was just a simple name drop from a way earlier session.
That was Storm's made-up artist when I
Yeah.
was pretending to be an
It was
aristocrat.
now
Golden Flag.
real.
Yeah.
I love that.
He drops a little secret bomb about the girl who Tokul recalls resembles a very young Lady Saria, and she looks quite different from all the other the other people there, they're all sun elves, so they naturally have a darker complexion, but she was more pale than them. And apparently she is like a mudblood or something like that. She's got like, she's not of the family blood, so possibly she's adopted or something like that. And Darius goes on to say that she's a little monster.
Yeah.
Just
something wrong with this child.
Yeah.
That might be something you can use later on. Wink, wink.
Meanwhile,
Maybe not.
Meanwhile, in the
Maybe
present, Maple figures out the code for the door. I think somehow. I don't know
Yeah,
how you
well,
actually figured that out, but
So as soon as the portrait came up on the wall, I wrote down 6 people, like straight away.
I'm glad you were on it because
Yeah,
honestly, Storm was not ready for any of that.
yeah, and then I think I just went straight over, and put the 6 in.
Yeah.
And then,
Kind of locked into place. You're like, oh,
yeah,
It
so I'm
works.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of assuming you guys were going to start, like, just inputting random shit. And there was definitely going to be, like, some sort of repercussion for that.
Well, Ryan and I immediately started talking about it. As soon as the
Yeah, I
first
was
one
like,
clicked in, we're
they're
like,
gonna
we
do
can
it.
just guess all of these.
Yeah.
But then Maple kind of had it pretty set out, and I thought, let's not mess
lucky
with it.
Maple.
I wasn't sure that I knew what was going on, but I just gave it a
Neither
shot.
right. I'm glad there wasn't repercussions because I think it would have set us up for failure.
Even more so, yeah.
It was very snowballing. Like, if
Yeah,
you fuck
yeah.
up this room and the next room,
It's
then the
gonna
last
keep
room
going,
is going to
yeah.
be
Yeah.
really fucked.
We were also already really low health.
Well, because
I
we
was
came
pretty low.
into the worm's mouth and ported into this dimension.
Already fucked up.
Already messed up. Tokul
We took
used
a
all of his
short
lay on hands to heal us up. And so he basically had no healing apart from his spell slots.
I mean, I've mentioned this before, where I personally don't really like the long rest and short rest mechanics that much. Like, going to sleep for 8 hours will literally heal all your wounds and make you fresh, like the best version of yourself. It just doesn't really make sense to me. There's like another one I was talking about where it's like once per week you get that, but there's a different conversation. Anyway, it's really about preserving your spells. I think this is an issue I had a very long time ago, where people would just be like, it's okay guys, I'm gonna have a long rest off, let's just fucking use everything, let's go. And at the time that kind of annoyed me, right? I was like, well fuck, that's just kind of, it's, first of all, it's immersion breaking, and second of all, it's kind of not unbalanced, but it's just, I don't know, maybe unfair, I guess, I don't know.
It's a bit video gamey.
Yeah, it's very, yeah,
It is.
yeah, that's what kind of annoyed me about it.
well, that's just kind of the by design that it's not actually. A lot of people kind of try to justify it like you're not actually getting injured when you fight. It's more like your fatigue level, if you want to put it that way. But just looking at it at first glance, it's more like it's your actual HP, like just coming from a video game. And that's just sort of the way D&D's designed. It's supposed to be a very like dungeon crawly, heroic fantasy. It's not really, it doesn't really have this whole like grimdark, gritty combat feel to it. So honestly, it is just the way the system is designed. So yeah, unfortunately, there are ways that you can kind of make that,
Make it work.
yeah, make it more significant that if you take hits in combat, then you don't heal up straight away. And I think other systems like Pathfinder and more,
Like GURPS and stuff.
yeah,
I think
more
they handle it,
deadly
yeah.
systems like make a good way of kind of fixing that whole like, oh, we'll just be 100% after a night's sleep. Yeah, but this is the system that we know and we've been playing with for 3 years now, and the investment to get into another system is very high,
Far too high.
very high. But
maybe we can homebrew some agreed rules of like, we can just try changing up for a bit.
Yeah,
See
try
how
the
it
variant
works.
rules.
Try some variants. Like, I always like the idea that almost like My Hero, like if you're going to use your highest level spell, it's going to exhaust the hell out of you because like it is the most powerful thing you can cast.
There should be some kind of repercussion for spamming this shit.
And so obviously I can only cast one level 5 spell. So I imagine once that's cast, like the concentration level is so high on it that it's like it's exhausting, and like casting a level 1 spell at when I'm level 9 is nothing. It's just
Yeah, if you feel nothing.
it's
Casual.
just like psh, 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 done.
yeah, unfortunately, the thing with homebrew, and I think Albert is very acutely aware of this, is that if you start changing things like other things start falling apart because they're designed around each other. So the combat is designed around how like the rest is, or I should say the other way around. And combat is very, very simple. It's pretty abstract as well. And in terms of like the way the actions are actually played out, very simple. Not a lot of like bonuses you can get. Like you just get like your proficiency and your however high your skill modifier is, and that's
any
it.
buffs from characters that can give them.
Yeah. Other systems are like a lot more crunchy. Like Pathfinder, you like start getting like bonuses for like how your character's moving, like what weapon are you using,
Where you're aiming on the...
where you're aiming and stuff like that. I don't know like too much about Pathfinder, but I know it is very crunchy, but like it has a lot more
Depth.
Yeah, it has a lot more depth to its combat instead of you run up to this thing and hit them.
I always wonder if that's going to be more interesting though, because like with D&D, you hope that combat's going to be fairly quick in the fact of like, oh, go up, hit, you know, the turn timer, if everyone knows their character, the turn timer can be pretty quick. And the more maths you add,
The longer
it's going to get. Like, even today I was doing 2 attacks of 3d10 plus 6, and that maths was breaking my brain. It shouldn't have. But like, basically the more and more dice that you start adding into a game, the harder it's going to get. And remembering, we were even talking about the higher level our characters get, the more stuff we're going to have to remember because of the different proficiencies you get, or the different features and traits and that kind of thing. And trying to remember all of that with like that plus combat, and having to go, well, there's a modifier because I'm aiming for the head, but also I'm having to move sideways, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that might just...
See, that's also the very video gamey aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to aim for the head. I get extra bonuses if I aim for the head, kind of thing.
It makes sense.
But it also, it does make
It
sense.
makes sense. But do you think that having all these little bonuses every time you level up, all these other things to remember, is that actually going to be an issue, or is it just because we don't actually do combat that often that we don't remember it?
I can't even remember my evasion ring.
I think it's fine because this is our main characters, this is our main campaign, and these, like, we've been level 9 for what, 10 sessions now? 12 sessions?
It's been a hot minute.
And so, you know, we're talking about 40 hours of gameplay to 50 hours of gameplay at the same level. So I'm well aware of what Storm can do at this point. And leveling him up doesn't change it, because level 10 for a bard isn't that crazy. But, you know, I think if you jump straight into it, like when we did the Avengers and we got jumped up to level 16, when I was reading through, I was like, there's no way I'll be able to jump in at that.
I have so much power.
Yeah, I have so much power, but I had no idea what to do with it. So I ended up just ending this really cool campaign with me just still stabbing a bunch of dudes with a stick. So I was like,
I can stab one more time.
Yeah, it's like I have 4 attacks now.
I mean, end of the day, that's what a fighter does.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, but yeah, I think unfortunately, just I know I've said this a lot of times, but I don't enjoy combat that much, particularly because it's not very engaging, and it takes a long time, depending on, you know, what happens and whatever. And this combat in particular was like 60% of the session, I feel like, maybe even more. And I think the reason why we don't have a lot of combat, because I think most of us agree that the combat isn't really that fun. It just seems kind of like a slog, even though from time to time we do enjoy it, because now it is more rare. So, but yeah, unfortunately that is also, I feel like there's nothing really we can do about that unless we start going into like another system where the combat is actually engaging and fun, and, you know, gives you a lot of options and things like that. So maybe it's something to think about for next time. But yeah, just from our limited experience, you know, D&D is a great system. It's great to start with, but then
The combat is ass.
yeah, combat
It's
is
exclusive.
not that great, you know.
Do you think
Could be
it's
better.
the combat system itself, or just the DM?
No,
I feel like none of us have actually mastered combat as DMs.
honestly, I think it's the combat by design.
I feel like
there's
the-
only so
think-
much you can do as a DM.
Think about the best combat you've had. Like, the best combat I think I've run is on the pirate ship during the pirate stuff, where I had random rolls for a storm, for things jumping on the boat, for the ship moving around, which actually moved your place on the map. But that was a very limited experience, and you can only do that once. That's the problem. If I give that to you every time you're in a ship,
It'll lose.
it's boring. It doesn't have any magic to it. And so the hard thing is, RP is very easy to create because
There's
you
so
just
much
think of
freedom.
a scenario and
Yeah.
there's so much freedom and flexibility with it. But like combat, how do you jazz up combat in a cave unless you're adding new enemies or, maybe it's then maybe you got to look at scenarios where it's like you're getting pincered on both sides, and I think you did that when we were traveling through the Corrakine. You did some interesting combat where those bugs were coming down and we had to go through the door.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I remember that. That was cool.
Part. Yeah.
Because it wasn't necessarily combat to fight, but it was combat to manage and then get away.
Well, the end goal isn't to kill something.
Correct.
There's a different goal other than just murder.
And I think that's what makes it interesting is like you're using it to advance the RP story.
Yes.
Obviously, combat for the sake of combat. Like you're on the road and goblins jump out. It's like why?
Yeah,
why are they
it
attacking
doesn't
me apart
add
from if I have
anything
money?
to the story.
Mm.
So you think using combat as a tool for RP rather than like
it's
separate
a
thing.
storytelling device.
It's a storytelling
Yeah.
device for sure.
Were you
So-
gonna say something, Lachlan?
I was just gonna say that I think, yeah, you're right that like none of us have perfected DMing, or I mean, if you even can, but yeah, I mean we're all pretty amateur as far as combat goes. I think it can be a really powerful storytelling tool, and yeah, maybe 5e doesn't like it leaves a hole that some other like Pathfinder might be able to fill for fun, but it can still be good.
Yeah,
If you use it right.
it is like that by design, which I've said multiple times already. But put it this way, I listen to Critical Role quite a bit. I think Lachlan, you do too.
Yeah.
And even Matt Mercer can't make it any better. Like I skip combat in Critical Role.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
bad. Like, and Matt Mercer's a great DM.
It's just long.
It's
and slow.
long and boring,
Yeah.
and you're just listening to people
Yeah.
roll dice. and
Unless there's
stuff
a
like that.
huge build up, like in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like if a fight's been coming and you know it's been coming for a long time and you're like, oh, it's finally here, then I can watch it. But a lot of the time I skip it as well. Yeah,
I have an admission. I don't think I've ever listened to a Critical Role,
it's fine.
and I think that's quite unique.
A lot of
I
people
listen to a
think
lot
that's
of-
good, honestly, because you come in without expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to even before I was playing with you guys. I listened to a lot of campaigns that use GURPS rule sets and stuff like that, and they're generally like episodes that are one shots, so you get a lot more variety out of it. And I was way more familiar with the rule sets of GURPS before joining D&D, which is
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why people say it's better not to listen to them because you get like these false expectations of how.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah,
Like these are actors.
Yeah,
these are voice
yeah, they're
actors.
voice actors. The players are good role players, and then you have like the Matt Mercer effect where everyone thinks that everyone should DM like Matt
Yeah.
Mercer, which is just it's unrealistic because he's been doing it for 20 plus years. And his friends have been, and he's been playing that particular game. His friends have been playing that particular game for like I think nearly 5 years now.
Yeah.
I think their first campaign was like up to 5 years. So
Yeah, and I think they
it
were
would be
playing.
a bit longer now.
Yeah, I think they were playing 2 years before
Mm.
they even started broadcasting it. And even when they started broadcasting, it was pretty rough when they started
Yeah.
broadcasting it. But
Bert's my Mac.
Yeah, and the character depth was a lot less engaging as well.
yeah, I mean
in the
because
first campaign.
it was like their first time playing D&D
Yeah.
ever. So
I mean, my issue with combat, I'm staying on this topic for a while, but
Mhm.
my issue with the combat is
good content.
it's hard to keep people engaged. It's so hard to keep people engaged. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them either. Because, like, when it's not your turn and you already know what you're going to do, you just, like, you're pretty fucking bored, right? It's hard to keep people focused on the fight itself unless there's some kind of stake involved, other than, I guess, death. Even that's not really enough these days, but, you know. I don't know, that's my problem. Like, is it the description? Should you be more descriptive, but that takes longer? Like, how do you keep someone, like, focused on the battle? Like, what kind of stuff would you guys like to see that would keep you in, you know?
I think being engaged in the fight, like more build up, something at stake that doesn't have to be life, but yeah,
Like,
I
just a
don't know.
greater goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I don't even know why we were in this place, really. I mean,
We
I know
kind-
that
we kind of
that's
just ended up in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
place.
I know
Say-
that was your point, but I think I don't know. It's helpful to be after something.
Okay. Anything else?
Honestly, I don't have anything to add of like what could engage me. I kind of dread combat every time we have to do it because I know it's just going to be a long
There's a
slog.
time sink. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to replace the 2 hours of combat with maybe half an hour of combat and an hour and a half more RP, because it's so much more enjoyable for me. And if it's like, I don't know, if there was some magical way you could shorten combat and still have the same effect.
Yeah, and I think like being more descriptive, like I think back in like 2018 days when I thought that was the key to fixing boring combat. It's not.
It does help in like sometimes, but it also does stretch out the combat.
It is kind of more engaging, but the thing is, it doesn't really add anything more to the combat other than like, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it helps you visualize it, but does visualizing what the combat actually do make it faster or more engageable, or does it add to the story, the narrative somehow? And I just don't see that when...
I'm trying to think of the last combat we had that I felt had... I don't know.
It was a good one.
I feel like the Colosseum one, the Blood Brothers one, it was fun, but there was very low stakes. It was a big wild match just for the hell of it kind of thing, which makes it more fun because we were putting on a show. Whereas, against what we fought today, number one, I had no idea what they were capable of. I just knew they were a classic big bad. And then when it came up, it's like, I think I was just more excited to try and King Kong him with my new King Kong friend.
I really wanted to
Maple and me
get thrown out.
But then I realised he was 100 foot in the air and my whole, just all of my plans were broken. And I kind of went, just throw rocks at it.
One of my favorite combats from recently, I know you weren't there for it, Lewis, but the warehouse combat, I thought that was a lot of fun.
That one?
Yeah, I
Really?
enjoyed that a lot. And like I almost died and I was freaking out, but I don't know, I felt involved in it, and I thought that the tactics that we used were really cool.
The warehouse combat.
Yeah, I liked it.
What about the warehouse combat? Did you
No,
like?
I just remember that being a clusterfuck. Like
It
we
was
almost
crazy,
we almost
yeah.
TPK'd in that one as well.
Yeah, sure.
Is it one like just people start dropping fire and did it just have an effect
Oh,
on
well,
the entire map? And...
For context, we went into Warehouse 4 or something, and we were supposed to meet up with these Ubanians who attacked Ryan previously. I think the whole thing there is they caught Strongjaw. I think that's his name. They caught Strongjaw.
Don't pretend like you don't know his name.
Who is that guy?
Well, honestly, probably better that way. But anyway.
Wow.
You're so against party pets.
Anyway, they caught Strongjaw because Strongjaw didn't stay in his room and got caught gambling or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they came and attacked. they came and attacked us they attacked Ryan and Strongjaw, and I think possibly your character was there. Storm was there in the bar, and Ryan killed them. And then some more things happened. We tracked them down to Warehouse 4, which they were at, and there was a little cell of them there, little Ubanian cell. And it kind of broke out into a fight, and we almost died because we were all over the place, and guys were like kicking us left and right.
All I've heard from
Very
that
spread out.
is I used my animate objects
You
and
did the
actually
best in
shredded
that
some
whole
people
fight.
up.
You
Yeah,
fucked
so
people up.
I double hold person.
Oh, and I was just getting crits left
and
and right.
crit everyone with you.
It's so weird because that's the only Axios session I've missed in a very long time. But that one thing with the Ubanians has been like an actual plot point.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, the warehouse, I'm like, what? And then Bert always has to go, you were there. I was like, oh yeah, the warehouse, yeah. And it's so weird having to be like, when my character actually has more information than I personally do.
You have to clean it up the next session as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think I was writing recaps at the time, so you could have read the recap.
I think I did, but like when you're not there,
It's
you're
not
not
the
there.
same,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read every recap, even when I played them.
Ooh.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't read them all.
That's good.
I usually
commitment.
read them on the train home. so-
Yeah, I read them sometimes.
I read them when we do our podcast. Anyway, what happens next?
So after solving the puzzle,
Yes, the puzzle.
the door opens,
Yes.
and we're met with a large hallway,
Yes.
300 foot long,
I
I
have
believe.
something about hallways and me. I don't know.
You love a good
I
hallway.
don't know.
Even since my
Hallways.
first session with you, it's always been about
I like
hallways.
hallways. I don't know.
Long, thin passages. It's like it's your
They just
thing.
remind me of
Remind you of home.
Home.
And it was a red carpet with very obvious raised kind of tiles.
Obvious to the seasoned adventurer.
Yes,
Nice.
not obvious to
Some plants.
normal people.
Yeah.
But we're not normal people.
Yes,
We
I
don't-
honestly
we don't
thought
fall for that.
you guys didn't have very good passive perception. Even in my notes, I was like, yeah, they don't have passive perception. And I looked at your character sheets after that. I was like, oh shit, you
Yeah,
are like
you
15,
misrecorded
16.
our. Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is wrong.
we misrecorded our
Put that away.
passes. But that was quite funny because you called out Aiden for seeing it.
Yeah,
and,
Aiden has the lowest.
he's
out
got
of
the
all of
lowest out of all of us.
I think he did have one of the highest when he first joined at around level 6.
Yeah, but obviously 3 levels of building that's with ability increases.
No,
and stuff
I think
as well.
the unfortunate thing is he's playing a fighter and they're not good
There
at
we
anything
go.
else but
There we
fighting.
go. The anti-fighter.
But yeah, this hallway was red with the raised tiles, only obvious to adventurer, and razor thin string with holes in the wall, Indiana Jones style, and a set of 4 inconspicuous statues at the end of the corridor. So before entering, we had a bit of a conversation on what to do. You know, having a little think through. I think we tried a couple different things, but the end result was yeeting a bunch of firebolts into there
Yeah.
from Maple, and
It's cleared the way.
clear the way for 120 foot.
Yeah, which is quite a distance.
It's quite
to
a
be
distance,
honest.
and it would have worked. However, once we all entered the room and walked forward, the carpet turned into a travelator, and where we had just entered turned into a large pit.
Mhm.
And basically, it was moving at 30 feet every 6 seconds to the pit.
Yeah.
So we had to outrun that and deal with the statues, which are now animated, moving towards us, triggering traps, and us triggering traps.
A lot of acrobatics rolls.
It was cool.
And all of you are really good at acrobatics
Yeah, I've got
somehow.
a +7.
With the exception of Lachlan.
I was at 40 health when we started that, and we finished. I was on 8.
Yeah, you got messed
Oh,
up.
you
there,
went
didn't
you went into 8 HP with the
Yeah.
beholder fight?
Yeah. We walked
Yeah,
up.
that's
when we
why I
walked
went
into
straight
that
for the
fight,
polymorph.
you were on 8 and I was on 11 HP.
Mm.
So we walked into that knowing we had to transform into
Yeah.
something to live.
And I think that was also Snow's turn to try on the glasses, and I think he had the smallest
Yes,
bit
yeah.
where like it was the corridor, went to past the corridor, people were walking through the door at the end of the corridor, and there was a lever there, and then Snow's like, can't get through the door, pull down the lever. Some guy comes and is like, hey, why'd you pull down the lever?
Because I can.
And it's just Snow just says,
so
because I
stupid.
can.
I feel like mine was pretty similar to yours though. I just pretended to be someone on the gates open.
Yeah, the one Tokul and Ryan.
I think Ryan
are
had
the
the
best
big
ones. And Tokul, Matt's not even here. Not even here.
The but yeah, as we went through, I think it was interesting because I always like the flexibility on flavouring up what your acrobatics roll is.
Mm.
So Storm using his feline agility and bouncing off the walls and running through.
Yeah.
Ryan's thing where he shoots the bolt into the wall and Slav squats on
That
the
was
bolt.
pretty cool.
So I think that's all cool.
Yeah.
And like even what you did triggering the traps around the statues to kill
Yeah.
a bunch of them. I think it was a really cool
Oh, is that what you did?
Usage.
Cool.
No,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, I threw a fireball at all of them, and that also triggered the traps, and I think it
Nice.
did extra damage.
It's a lot of
That's
extra
cool.
damage.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that was a really cool like point in that because again, it's one of those things. It wasn't really combat. It was more about getting to the other side with an obstacle in the way.
Yeah, it's more of a puzzle than it
Mm.
is combat. And maybe that's the way we should look at things now from now on. I don't know, like as a bigger puzzle? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there is like another way to like maybe have like instead of the objective being like a TDM team
Like
deathmatch,
Brutish head on.
kill the other
Yeah.
guy. It should be like, you know, we have to get to the other side, or we have to get this item and leave, or something like that.
Yeah, but there's an obstacle in the way.
Yeah, there's an obstacle, so it kind of changes it up a bit instead of just we shoot arrows and fling spells at this one dude until he dies.
It makes utility a lot more useful as well.
Hmm.
But we all kind of got past. Some worse were than others, but for some reason Ryan's fireproof.
He has a cloak.
Oh,
from,
it's his cloak. Yes, yes,
from Tidewater.
yes.
That's right.
So he's got the cloak and obviously Tokul's Tokul, big dragon boy.
Tokul. You don't take
So
damage.
they got hit with a bunch of fire, where they walked out all right. We got to the end of that corridor.
Tokul took like 30 damage total. This is
Yeah,
that
he
whole
took,
thing,
he
right?
took like 30 damage.
And that was from one hit. And that was
Just
it.
in the corridor.
No, just overall. Throughout
You-
the whole
you were
session.
targeting
Whole
him.
session.
He's got some good saves, man. I don't know how he kept.
Well, he's got 22
those.
AC
He's that
as well.
tanky boy.
No, he's got some mad saves. I think his wisdom is +7 and his dex was +4 because of his aura. It's usually +2 though.
Bloody paladins.
None of the fucking things worked on him.
Mm.
The only one that worked on him was the one that damaged him. That was it. I'm pretty sure that was it.
The but I guess that leads us into, once we left the hallway, we entered a large hall with tables on the left and right.
It's a
Hogwarts
ballroom.
style.
It's a ballroom, big ballroom. Hogwarts, Harry Potter, long tables. There's a big chandelier that has fallen to the ground, and instead of a chandelier, there's a very large orange glowing crystal that's rotating slowly in the sky.
Throne made of stone. Stone throne.
Made of brick. And then there's a throne with. Oh, you
Doesn't
mean
rhyme.
the chair itself?
Brick throne.
Oh, you're talking about. I thought you were talking about the area where the
No,
throne
the
is.
throne.
It had gold inlays.
I just pictured it like a massive mahogany kind of.
Oh, you went
like
mahogany.
I was.
I always
thinking
picture
a
it
big-
like smooth, carved out stone, because it's like more slaves had to
That's
make
kind
it.
of what I was
Yeah,
thinking, like
that
stone
makes
with
sense.
gold in between.
Yeah.
And it is in the desert, so like, what kind of wood would you use? Oh, they are rich though, so they could import.
Oh, they would get it imported.
Like,
What is it in the
Sure.
desert? Like
Well, they're sun elves, so the assumption.
Yeah, well,
It-
the assumption was
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
That's what you thought of, wasn't it?
No.
No.
Well.
Well, you could
how do I
have
say
you
this?
could have not made it Sun Elves, but I think
Or maybe
the
they
fact that
actually
Sun
did
Elves-
be
live in
anywhere. It
a
could be
giant
on a-
purple one.
another continent. Like it could be.
Oh
anywhere.
yeah, Sun Elves are immigrants too, for you.
How can you put it? Then?
What was the?
What are you gonna say?
What's the behind the scenes? What's the DM insight on this?
I didn't really mention this, but there should have been a lot of context clues that it wasn't in Huria. But I fucking slipped my mind.
Oh,
to be honest.
I didn't assume it was in Huria, but I just went sun elves. I associate them with the desert,
Okay.
but I didn't assume it was the Hurrian desert at all.
Yeah. Because. No, I can't say that.
But then again, it's kind of good that I don't know, because I have the exact same knowledge that Storm has on sun elves, and
No.
finding out more behind the scenes, I think, kind of ruins.
That's why I like to keep quiet about some stuff.
Although Kevin likes to learn about as much as possible because he writes a lot.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Another thing was they weren't speaking a Hurrian accent. I think sometimes Albert kind of forgets to like do that sometimes.
What's the
but
Hurrian accent again?
it's more of like a Arabian type Middle Eastern
Middle
accent.
Eastern.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
accent.
Who says the accent hasn't changed in the last X amount of years?
So they're all Jafar.
Maybe they didn't always sound like that.
We're just gonna ignore your comment.
But anyway,
All
that
far.
They're all Jafar.
Jafar from Aladdin.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how he sounds like. Does he have an accent?
I haven't
I
listened
thought
to
he
it.
I thought he had like a British.
Come, Aladdin. Yeah, I think he's a British actor, isn't he? Come along, Aladdin. Get in the game.
That's how I remember it.
But yeah, Hogwarts tables on the left and right, and there was skeletons dressed in regal clothing lining each side of the table, along with the throne and the thing. And then the glasses started to vibrate again, and this time it was between Maple and Ryan
Yeah.
ended up putting on the glasses.
What's the fantasy game they played? Something She's
Rock Parchment.
Rock Parchment.
She's Parchment
Rock.
Boulder.
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 And I
Did
tell you
come up
what,
with that? Or is
No,
that a-
we
I think it's
did
a-
that multiple
we've
times.
done it before.
Have we done
Canon.
that?
Yeah, we have. But saying that really quick, like when he's saying rock paper
She's
scissors,
fucking Boulder.
really was difficult.
It's not easy.
I think it's actually a D&D thing. I
Was it
think
really?
it's canon for D&D.
Oh shit.
I think the extra syllable instead of boulder kind of like screws things up a
Yeah,
little
it
bit.
does. But
You stoned.
you played it, you won.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was hurt and I forgot that we hadn't been getting hurt by the glasses. It was only Storm, and I was like, I had 8 HP. I was like, I'm not
Fair,
not putting
fair.
them on if it's gonna kill me.
Yeah, so fuck Ryan
I think-
instead.
Yeah.
You were the
Well, he
Storm.
was pretty healthy.
Storm was the only character that actually took damage from the glasses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
He's the
sacrificial.
hostage that got shot.
I
got
hadn't
shot as a
caught on to
hostage.
that. Yeah.
He has to show people that don't just keep these on.
Yeah.
What if there was like 100 HP tanky boy who just wanted to keep him on,
Then he continuously take damage.
but he would stay in that world?
Maybe.
Okay,
Mm.
maybe me.
Maybe.
I wasn't ready to take that. I wasn't ready to risk that at all.
Yeah. So Ryan goes in. Everything turns back to the. What do you call it? The, 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 modern, or I guess past the way it was before, and everything's so bright, the gold, the chandeliers, the atmosphere, the gossip. You guys do really good asshole gossipy guy impressions.
I do really enjoy, and sometimes they're a bit overpowering, but I think it's one of the funniest parts that we do, is the random NPCs, and Kevin and I love it so much.
It's pure improv.
It's pure
and
improv.
It does seem a bit too dominating.
But we usually
sometimes.
are crying laughing by the end of it, so I think it's always allowed.
Yeah.
And I think we also know when to respectfully stop doing it.
I'll tell you if you're wrong about something, and just let
But
you guys go.
like with those guards, I think we handled that quite well, because
Yeah.
it was like, what do we say? And then we just run with it.
Yeah. I mean, he goes back. He's very confused, as most people are, or were. And he decides to go talk to the king, gets in line, pulls out a parchment parcel
Yep.
from his cloak, goes up to the king, gives him it, and then goes back down. Like, I don't know what his plan was, honestly. I'd like to get his opinion on this, but I really had no idea.
Was
what
that
his plan
his idea to like give the king a present that you just rolled with, or was that an actual thing?
Well, people
I
were
mean,
already
everyone was
lining up.
already doing that. And he was like, do I have one of those? And I'm like, yeah, you do have one of those. It's in your coat. And he's like, okay, I'll go up. And that's how he meets Darius and Don Darius,
He did.
master artist and painter and things.
Debater.
Oh god, and they kind of hit it off a little bit. They kind of chatting, they're vibing with each other, right?
Yeah, I really liked how he did this scene, actually. Ryan jumping in, talking to Darius Don Darius, and kind of having that conversation, and even the gossip he had with the guy he was in line with, or was that Darius? No,
That was Darius.
It was Darius, yeah. And just that little gossip, and then that kind of breakaway, and then the come back to the conversation afterwards. But when he left his kind of gossipy conversation with Darius after making up another character from the Crescent Isles, the approach that he had with that servant,
Yeah, the conversation.
I thought it was really cool. And I thought, like, it's always hard to build up the tension in a situation like you were trying to put across.
Yeah.
And I think you did quite well with it, with servant coming up to him and saying, "Sir, would you like a drink?"
Yeah.
He says yes, and the servant kind of stops and goes, "You're not like us. Where did you come from?" And Ryan's
Yeah.
trying to play it off as like, "A distant land, like I'm not from here." But then everything goes silent, and everyone in the room is staring, just this blank stare, frozen at Ryan, saying, and the servant goes, "Where do you come from?"
Yeah, it's like, that's not what I meant. How are you here?
And I think that's really cool, because I was saying to you, it's like I said, it's like WandaVision, where it's like these people kind of break character almost for a second, and then it instantly goes back to normal. And I think that's got such a creepy vibe to it. Like, if that happened to you in real life, you would brick it immediately.
What the fuck's
I would
going on?
nope straight out of that situation. And then, yeah, he goes back and sits with Darius Don Darius. And he goes, "Is it normal for servants to speak to you?"
He
And
threw
then
that poor servant under the bus straight away.
He did it. And immediately Darius is like, "No, that means execution."
Execution.
And so
Yeah.
immediately Kevin and I come in as guards, and I accidentally called him Kevin in RP, and so we ran with the guards who are called Kevin and Lewis, and these old Cockney boys who run up, hup, 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 out to them, and it's just the dumbest character again.
I kind of envisioned that they were just the military versions of what's it called?
Dumpy
Dumpy.
and
Dumpy and Cuppy and
Cuppy
and
and
Dump.
Oh my
Copy and
God. Copy
dump.
and dump.
Because they sound exactly the same. And exactly the same demeanor as well.
Exactly the same. And just like the funny thing of just like us being us, and then getting called out by Darius and by Ryan as like, "That's not how you speak to a lord." And we're like, "Oh, sorry, sir. Sorry. Would you please?" And it's like, and it's almost like these characters that we play are the least respectful characters in a campaign, but they never seem to get into like, one day I'm expecting we'll play Cuppy and Dump, and they'll get taken for execution or just get shot in the head immediately. It's just like not taken care
Off-screen
of.
death.
Like, it's just like, okay, you can take them away now, and they just get dragged off screen, and you just hear screams behind a building or something.
Yeah, I think it's just the throwaway nature of the characters, or we just kind of go balls to the wall with all the improv.
It's just
stuff
big
like that.
lift outs, I think, from the world. But the guards grabbed the servant man,
Yeah.
and basically bouncers would grab almost at the shoulder for each of them. So I walk him out, and he goes, and the servant's like, "But he's different, and we turned around and went, "He's not different," and then we saw
the shimmering,
like a glitching, a
Yeah.
shimmering in the illusion, and we went, "Oh, wait a second,
He is different.
And so we told the servant just to wait, and then we went and spoke to him. We're like, "You're different, or not?
You're not from
You're not
around
from
here.
around here, are you?"
Smell like a human.
What's wrong with you? And we're like sniffing, and Darius is like, "You dare sniff a lord?" We're like, "Smell him, Darius."
Smell him, Lord
Don't
Darius.
tell me what to do.
And Ryan has to convince the three of us because Darius gets a bit. He seems like,
Yeah, he's like,
actually.
wait a second, where are you from?
And so Ryan rolls a persuasion, and he persuades the two. Perception, sorry. No,
Deception.
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 So his new skill.
His new skill,
Deception.
yes.
And he convinces the two guys. We're like, "Oh, right. Okay, cool."
Back to back.
We just go back and bash the servant to death.
Yeah.
And while the old men probably throw money at us for sport.
I like that the servant just waited patiently for what he knew was.
He knows
Guess
what's
I'm
happening.
dying.
Yeah. I'll just be waiting over
I'll
in the
just
corner
be
for
standing
my
in the corner.
inevitable death.
My intense, brutal beating. And Darius was then suspicious of Ryan.
Yes.
Questioning where he's from again, saying you're lying. You're not elf, or something along those lines, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like, you're not really from around here. Like, Crescent Isles is not... That's not where we come from. Hold on. That's not right. There really wasn't much that actually came from that, I don't think. I think Ryan just kind of walked away. He's like, okay, I'm not dealing with this
This
guy
ain't
anymore.
happening, yeah.
Yeah, like, this guy's not going to be helpful anymore.
He did have a bit of an outburst, Darius. He saw through the flicker,
Yeah.
and then he started saying, "Help me, get me out of
Yeah,
here."
it's very like.
Oh,
Yeah.
him and the
Yeah.
other
It's
Joe.
very
I
like
his character.
if you guys have seen Get Out, like
Yeah.
like that, or like Wonder.
Wonder
I haven't
Vision.
seen Wonder Vision, but Get Out has like a similar thing, where it's like the people are like kind of trapped in their own minds, and then like certain things will trigger them to like their actual
Yeah.
selves to come out. So yeah, what's the theory? What's the conspiracy behind the illusion? I think that the dead people are them, and they're like their souls are trapped
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
this
I reckon
in this
so.
Yeah, and
this thing.
when
I
the
think-
servant was beaten to death, his body disintegrated because he wasn't trapped anymore.
I
'Cause
think
he
the-
died in the
in the soul
his soul
realm.
was freed. Yeah.
It was like the Matrix.
Do you think it was because of the pocket dimension within the worm? Do you reckon it was some weird thing there?
Oh yeah, I mean the whole
think it was the beholder.
Oh, yeah,
the
probably.
whole thing is like some crazy.
I like that it's
dimension.
up to interpretation. I always like that you
Yeah.
don't explain necessarily
some
the
some
fantasy
kind of
around it.
curse, and the
Albert's got it's like some dumb
Yeah.
ring that was on
Well,
the king's finger or something.
the king's
It's like a
not
cursed ring.
the king's not still there. Like we don't.
No, the
don't
ring
see
dropped
it.
behind the throne.
Yeah,
It's
it just fell.
got all the
Yeah,
souls
you
in
didn't
it.
see it.
If
If you
just
smashed
looked,
it, you would have
if you
solved
just
the
rolled
entire thing and been
perception-
teleported home with an extra 2 levels.
Yeah, there's the button
Yeah.
there. They're just one.
Yeah.
Just the win button.
Now that I think about it, the beholder wasn't really active because it was frozen in that crystal. Are we gonna get to that? I think we've explained.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe we should jump.
Yeah, because Ryan eventually...
Dances with the girl.
Dances
She
with the
breaks
girl.
character.
Yeah. And then he confronts the king.
Yeah.
Who he got the clue from the girl. He's like, yo, what the fuck? What you doing to these people? Free my people. And the king's like, no. No.
No, don't leave.
Yeah, and there's kind of like a fourth wall breakage.
Mm.
And on the other side, the crystal starts to crack and fragments start to fall off. And you guys kind of see the eye behind the crystal, like behind this large crystal. And eventually, as their conversation reaches its climax, the crystal breaks, the glasses turn hot, and Ryan gets transported back. And this beholder kind of emerges from the crystal and rises up to the ceiling and begins combat with you guys.
When this whole like intense character breaking thing was happening with Ryan, I do like that we cut back to Tokal, Snow, Maple, and Storm, and it was originally Storm confirmed that I could take all the gold from all the corpses because they're all nobles, and I took one off, and then it was Maple just calmly like, "Is it evil? No, we're good. Okay." And then Storm collected all of the gold off everyone. And then we just went up and started poking the crystal.
This floating crystal in the sky.
Because we were in there for like 35, 40 minutes. Like, we
Yeah.
had to wait for this to happen. So our characters are just like, oh. I think I played a magnificent song at one point to see if it would make the skeletons
I thought
dance.
well, we knew that there was
It was a
undead.
nice idea,
Yeah,
and it
Tokal-
sounded really good.
Yeah, it was, it was
Tokal
a high roll.
detected undead, and so we knew that something weird was going on. And
Something
Maple was like, should we play them a song and
Yeah.
try and rouse them or something? I don't know. I thought it was an interesting idea.
I tried to play Tokal with like the more
Paladin
higher
thing.
mining.
Yeah.
I don't know if Matt would actually have done that because I don't know. Sometimes Matt is all over the place with his role play. He was. Just, I tried to play and like he wasn't in agreement with stealing from the dead, even though
Yeah.
it
He
wasn't.
definitely would have been in agreement with stealing from the dead.
I
Yeah,
think-
actually,
I think
thinking back
'cause-
now in
'cause my
hindsight, probably
reasoning-
would have been.
Well, my reasoning isn't... Obviously, Storm's changed a bit, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to play him with that cheekiness, but
Hmm.
good heart. I think and that's kind of a balance I'm trying to strike at the moment. And like, I want to steal all the gold because it's here. May as well steal it.
It's not really stealing either.
no,
if they're
it's
dead.
just taking off dead people,
Acquiring.
and it's not even
Yeah.
a grave. It's not grave robbing.
Yeah.
But then my reasoning was, this gold can be used to help people. This gold can be used to invite another 500 people to our
Yeah.
dinner, and it's the reasoning for having the gold is very different than it was before.
So what'll actually make the difference here is if you actually spend the gold in actually inviting
Yes.
more
You
people
better.
to the
You
thing.
better.
Yes.
Well, I've said I will, and I will.
I do think that 150 people isn't that many.
Well, it's
Considering-
I only had like 150 gold to spin around.
I mean, some of you do.
It's still a lot to organize for
Ryan's
a dinner
got
party.
pockets. Ryan's got deep pockets.
I mean, we can talk about that in a sec. But Beholder, boom, appears. Crazy.
Yeah.
We've never seen a Beholder in our
Yeah.
campaign before. I
Yeah.
don't think I've ever fought a Beholder before.
I
Yeah.
haven't.
We're like, whoa, it's got so many eyes. It's there. Because we were poking the crystal, Maple, Snow, and Storm are all just stood next to it. Tokal's further back. And Ryan appears kind of in the center of the room.
No, he was like at the end of one of the tables. On the
Oh,
opposite
yeah,
side of
Yeah,
the room.
I just kind of assumed that's where you put on the glasses. That's where you
Yeah,
read
fair
them.
enough. And yeah, the combat started. And my initiative rolls were awful all game. I think we were
Yeah,
quite
me
low.
too.
And bloody boss monsters with their legendary skills and
Man.
their
The
lair
le-
skills
yeah.
and
It's hard to keep track of when
It is.
you're just taking actions all the time.
like because I think we got confused at one point for like whose turn is it, because like you would interject with Beholder things and like obviously in your head you're like, oh, Beholder's number 2, so then
It should be number 3.
yeah,
next, but
yeah,
it's not.
but it's not that. It's like into legendary action number 6 or whatever.
Yeah, they just exist to balance out the action economy.
Yes, because
Because if it's like 5v1, they'd usually get
Yeah.
absolutely destroyed.
which
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, but explain how a Beholder works, Bert.
So a beholder has one big eye that can cast an anti-magic cone that spans 150 feet, and it cannot use its eyes within that cone, and neither can anyone else use spells within that cone. So if you go inside, well, you're not going to get really hurt by the beholder, because the only other thing he can do is bite you, and you just bite.
He ain't
him.
coming close.
Yeah, he's not coming close.
Yeah.
He's not dumb enough to do that. But then you can't cast spells. So it'd be really good for someone like, I don't know, Snow, to go in there and
more
chill.
martial classes.
Yeah,
Ryan
don't
would have
rely on
been
spells.
great in the thing as well, but
yeah.
unfortunately, he did like 69 damage. Nice to the beholder, and then the beholder's like, okay, I'm just going to zero in on you
Awesome.
and make sure you never get to play the entire fight.
Fuck you in particular.
Which your targeting makes sense. You don't need to justify it.
Yeah.
It's the same targetings you'd find in an MMO. If they do the most DPS, they pull the aggro.
You get the aggro, yeah.
And yeah,
I try to roleplay monsters with their intelligence. So if it was like a goblin or some like dumbass creature, it would just go over what's
Whatever's
closest
Yes.
or whatever's weakest. But if it's something with an intelligence that's sentient, it would probably go for the biggest threat.
Yeah,
And that's
agree.
that's just kind of its thought process. So I'm not intentionally targeting Ryan. He just kind of makes himself the target.
He
you know,
output a shitload of damage.
he does a
And
lot of damage.
If I had accidentally weaponized 100 damage, you would have done the same
Yeah,
to me.
you
Yeah.
would have been the exact same. And how beholders work is that every turn they get to use 3 eyes. And each eye you'd roll a d10 for, and depending on what you roll is what kind of beam, what kind of ray shoots out of that eye. And this goes from stuff by like making things charmed, by petrifying them, by just straight up killing them, by making them sleep and stuff like that. And throughout the fight, you guys actually rolled pretty damn good. Would you say?
Yeah.
It could have been a TPK.
It could have very easily
Yeah.
been a TPK, I think, because we went into it with fairly low health. Like, I know Maple and I obviously had 10 health or below.
Yeah, almost.
Tokel had lost some health already. I think you were
No, I
fine.
was 4 health.
Ryan had lost a little bit of health, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But when your two casters kind of come into a fight really messed
Yeah.
up, we weren't able to back off and actually cast.
You had to go straight for the.
We went
polymorph.
straight for the polymorph. And look, we wanted to do it because now there's two polymorphs. We both wanted to
Hell
become
yeah.
King Kong
Yeah.
and Powder. Didn't realise how high up the bad boy was. And I also realised
It's a big
I don't understand projectile rules. Which I do now.
Now we know.
I never have to deal with them. I only deal with magic projectiles. So it was I learned new rules today. But basically I think it was the terrible decision. And backing off and throwing some spells or conjuring some
Yeah.
animals would have been a bit better.
I don't know what else I could have done. Like, I had to polymorph right at the start. I don't think I could have avoided that.
No, I agree. I think we both had to.
Yeah, but I could have backed off earlier and dropped it, I think.
I was lucky in the fact that I actually got charmed a bunch of times. I didn't. I had the random roll of charms.
Yeah.
So while I couldn't attack the beholder, I could at least clear up a bunch of the undead. But obviously that then left me at a point where there was no undead, and Big Gorilla was just sat in the middle of the thing. I'm like, I was hoping he would attack me so I could actually, hit him back.
Yeah.
And I think I managed to get one rock at him, which did something like 29 damage.
Decent damage.
Decent damage,
Decent chunk.
which was the second best damage at that point in time. There was only 3 hits to the beholder at that point.
Yeah.
But then I had to back off, and I was trying to hide and stuff. But I'm not a hidey character because that beholder's got a lot of eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you kind of look at it, it only took you guys 5 successful attacks to kill it,
Yeah,
and it had 180 health.
like we can output damage.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what's better: a creature just being so terrifying you don't want to be near it because it will just like almost one shot you, like do 90% of your health, or a creature like a beholder where it's just like debuff, debuff, debuff.
Yeah, I mean, most of us couldn't do anything for a lot of the fight. I kept missing with my rocks, and then I was charmed for a few turns,
And then you fell off a wall.
and we'll get to that. But yeah, I feel like we only got like a few attacks off, but the
Yeah.
fight lasted a long time.
Yes. Does anyone have an estimate to how long that fight went?
I want to say it was at least like 2 hours.
You reckon 2 hours? I was
I
gonna
was
say
gonna say
hour and a half. Yeah,
we
I
do
agree.
have on Discord when you sent the beholder image.
Oh,
We-
true.
We can,
You want to check it? Let's check it.
Yeah,
Okay.
check it.
I'm curious as well. Let's find out.
So that's start and end. So
9:31.
an
2
hour and
hours.
45 minutes.
Well, we finished the fight at I want to say
11. 15.
quarter past
Yeah.
11.
Well,
yeah.
because I sent that at 11:12, which was
While you
after
were
the
on
fight
the
had ended
phone.
while you were on the phone. So
So yeah.
about an hour and a half, hour and 45, let's say.
Yeah.
Which is a long combat for pretty much just one enemy.
Actually, that's a normal combat. I
pretty
feel like our
normal. Maybe it
combat's
felt more drawn out.
averaged. Yeah, I think
It
the
felt
way
longer.
the way the
It did
combat
feel
was made it feel longer.
Yeah.
We've had longer combats before.
Yeah.
We
way
have,
longer.
but I feel like we've been very unorganized in our combat before. I feel like we all quite know our characters, in the fact that we know what we want to do, and I think we're all quite good at planning what we want to do,
Yeah.
which we haven't been in the past for sure. So we can at least go, this is my turn, I'm doing this, or you can at least ask your questions quite quickly because you know what you need to find out. And I think that benefits us. I think that could have been a 3-hour session if we weren't sure what we were doing.
I think we had a lot of rounds of combat for how long we were doing it, because a lot of our turns were
they were very
like,
quick.
just
Saving throw.
rolling a saving throw
Yeah.
and then trying to break out of something.
Do you think combat would have gone faster if Matt was here?
No,
No.
would have gone slower.
I
because
don't want to be mean to Matt, but I feel like combat with his paladin he's still not used to, because we haven't done much combat with a paladin.
Yeah.
Maybe that it's still quite new.
I don't think any of us really know how to play paladin.
I've never
I
played
know,
a paladin.
like, you just smite.
No
And
one
then-
can help.
and
I
then
don't
you
know
can
if that's
go-
all it is.
Paladin
No,
just
that's,
smite.
that is like 50% of
Yeah.
how you play a paladin.
And the
you
other
smite.
50 is
Shield.
revivify.
Revivify, and then you like I was playing support that whole.
You did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I was actually fighting as Tokel was the undead because I knew Tokel could
Yes.
just blast them.
Yeah.
But
But then Big Gorilla did as well.
basically, he was
Matt-
mobile
Matt-
ambulance.
Matt, we
Yeah.
used some of your health
Ambulance.
potions, Big Boss.
We used
I don't think we have any left, do we?
yeah.
You saw
Yeah.
one,
I used two on myself
On
and
Aiden.
one for
Yeah.
Ryan, and then Tokel used his one on Ryan because Ryan went down multiple times.
4
I
or
think
5 times.
yeah, like 4
Yeah.
times, which is crazy.
Yeah, 3 or 4. I
Three or
think
four
3
times. He was rolling death saves a lot, and you got to the point of rolling death saves
Yeah,
as
I
well.
succeeded on
Succeeded.
all 3 in a row,
Yeah.
which
Which is
was
good.
really good.
I'm so comfortable with death saves on my characters now. I feel like I've been there a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe not recently, but when I first started, like as a new
Kevin's
player,
campaign.
yeah, I went into death saves quite a few times, and I think it got me really comfortable with them. So I'm like quite confident. I go into death saves, I'm like, I'll be right.
I got this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember in the warehouse fight, I went down and I was freaking out. And, like, it is really easy to save. Like,
They-
10,
they give you the
10 up,
advantage.
yeah.
It's like 50%, right?
Just
but that's
more
not
than
that's
Higher, higher
just
than
over.
10%.
They give you majority of numbers.
Yeah,
It's
to-
10 to
Above
12.
10.
It's like
not
55,
10,
45
oh,
or
okay,
something like
okay,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, this Beholder fight, nothing particularly special happened in it there, but it was just like, I think Snow ended up saving the day by just hiding behind a fucking table and shooting
Yeah,
the
you
thing.
are fortunate. Actually, not even fortunate. You just have really good stealth,
Yeah,
and you get advantage on it as
which
well.
you've built your character
He had
there.
22 passive perception on that
Yeah.
beholder.
Lots
Passed
of
it
eyes.
every
I
time.
was
Well, 'cause I was
rolling-
I was ready to be
Surprised
like, ha ha! It's not high enough. Fuck you.
Well, you
But
got
it was
to do
every-
that with
every
me. Because I wanted to hide
You
behind the
got
table.
dirty
I rolled a
20.
19 on stealth. Like, you don't think of Storm as stealthy because I don't do it, but he's got a +7 to stealth. Like, he's quite good at it. And I was like, fuck, I got a
got this.
19. I'm definitely in because that's the assumption.
Yeah.
And then you're like, nah.
No.
So now Storm's just crawled under a table.
I
His
wonder-
head or something.
I wonder if you actually have higher stealth than Ryan does because
Probably.
behind Snow, we've always thought that Ryan was the next stealthiest person.
I think it might actually be me because I've got such high dex.
You got the dex plus the
the half bonus. Do you have the
half
half
bonuses.
proficiency?
I've got Jack of all trades on there as
That's
well.
it.
So I've got +7 to my stealth, and I think I'm probably the next one, but I just don't think of myself as a stealthy character or use it much.
You know, poor Ryan. Fighters, you're only good at one thing. And when you think you're like special at something other than fighting, you're really not. You just get outshined every time.
I think
I
you
mean-
just leave it as a.
puts out a lot of damage.
Oh, he does. No, in a fight,
he's a
I think
fighter.
I feel like Snow and Ryan in a fight really are the carry. I feel like Maple and I can output a lot of damage when we want to, but because of our spell slots, we're
Yeah.
quite limited.
I've been trying to be a little more supportive just because
Hmm.
that's what my subclass is like. However, I don't know. I think I got bored and I've been trying to equip spells that are a little more combat heavy and it's just not working out for me. Like when I hasted Ryan on that witch fight, that was like the most useful I think I've ever been.
To
So-
be fair, Snow probably averages like 25 to 30 damage per fight, with the exception of this one, which he probably outputted like over 100 points of damage.
I think it's but you reliably hit.
No, because I don't rely. Because I usually roll like trash every time, and I was rolling particularly well. Maybe because I had the good juju from
The good
like
juju.
from rolling for Tokel as well.
Yeah,
Just
true.
around.
But yeah, other than that, I usually only get like one attack and then miss everything else.
Yeah, I built Storm as a bit of a summoner. I think that's just what I wanted to do at the start, and it runs through. Like I've got my classic summon animals with the giant wolf spiders. I feel like is my classic, and then with polymorph, it's always Big Kong or
Random roly poly.
like a roly poly. Just
He's fine. He's
unlucky.
doing
He's a big shell boy.
it. I was just shocked.
But yeah, I feel like you got your classic stuff in the spells and you know what to do with, but there's reliable damage outputters and you got to kind of fit in your lane.
Ryan is far and above the best fighter or the best
Yeah.
DPS in the team, because it was like he can get like how many shots? 6 shots, right?
Yes.
With his action
With the
surge.
action surges, yeah.
He missed half of his
Yeah.
shots in
Still
his
did
first
69.
attack and still did nearly 70 points of damage with 3 hits. mostly because of his sharpshooter
-5
thing.
to sharpshooter.
But it's crazy how much damage he does with so little attacks.
Mm.
I think
It's that +10 damage to the
Yeah.
sharpshooter hits.
Yeah.
So
but you've got your lane, and like I wouldn't jump in and start making Storm this just because I have stealth. Doesn't mean I'm going to go with Storm and say like, nah, I'm going to be sneaky as hell. I would rather Snow and Ryan be the sneaky boys because it fits Ryan's backstory so much better than it fits Storm's. Storm's only sneaky because he's a little cat boy. Like cats are just a bit sneaky.
Mhm.
But no, I'm
do
not.
you have a racial trait that gives you?
You just have high
No.
dex. My racial trait is feline agility. I
You
can
get
go back.
you get +2 to your dex
Yes.
modifier.
So that's why you get a lot of
Right, yep.
Tabaxi rogues.
Classic.
The classic.
I think you guys are pretty fortunate
Mm.
that every single one of you, with the exception of Tokul, can hit flying guys. Because I think if it was like a normal party, they'd be kind of fucked, right?
Yeah.
100 feet in the air, man. That's a lot. Like,
yeah, that's a
I don't know
distance
what
to
you would
cover.
do if it was 2 fighters, like a
Yeah,
cleric.
like sword and board
Well,
fighters.
I
yeah.
don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, there's so many different combinations of classes out there, and usually there's like one fighter that's probably sword and board, but everyone else probably knows better than to pick fighter and pick something else.
I mean, like barbarians are usually melee as well.
yeah, barbarians as well, but even then, I think
I mean, that's the case where you always got to carry your offhand bow that you don't really use, but
Yeah,
you
you
can kind
have
of
to-
equip it when you have
this
to.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I used to think that you guys would not stand a chance against like a dragon or something, but maybe now.
we fought a baby one with no wings.
You have fought a crippled
Yeah.
dragon, yes.
Yes.
I
So
think
I,
it
feel
depends
good
where
about it.
you fight them, because a lot of the time you can track them to their lair or something.
Yes. And that's not where you want to fight
No,
them.
you don't.
It depends, actually.
Yeah, it's a
If
bit of a
It's in the
trade-off.
sky or it's in their lair.
Yeah.
Both
So-
kind of fuck you.
Mm.
At the end of the fight, Ryan finally got actually killed with Death Ray.
Well, you didn't have any lead up to that.
Nope.
You're
yeah.
just gonna drop
Well, the lead up was that Ryan basically got stunned, charmed.
We said he got down 4
Paralyzed.
times. What
He
more
got-
lead
he got
up do you want?
telekinetic, he got
I
paralyzed.
Basically,
Went to sleep.
he didn't get to play the entire fight, other than
Yeah.
that first attack, and then I think he got revived, as in Snow gave him potion, Tokul gave him potion, Tokul gave him cure wounds,
Woke him up.
Tokul woke him up. He went down like 4 times,
Yeah.
and then
He got hit with a Death Ray for 35, 40
yeah,
damage.
that was the clincher there.
And I'm glad it wasn't a
Disintegration rate.
disintegration
Yeah,
ray.
yeah,
man.
could've
That would have
been.
been wild. So he died.
Yeah,
He died.
The
That's
death
our
ray
first
killed him.
die.
That's
Yeah.
that's the first one in the campaign, and I think it kind of hit us. Like Aiden didn't seem too worried,
I don't think he cares that much.
but like you said, he's got another character he wants to
Yeah.
play. He's always said he's got a prepped character,
Yeah.
but it's still his first character. Like
I don't think he. Well, we were talking. Me and Lachlan were talking to Aiden
Yeah.
after the session, and I don't think necessarily he doesn't care about Ryan. I think now that like it's definitely like it's my first character. It's not the best character. Like I know what I want to play now,
And it's
but
not
but
right.
I think he's still because I think one of the reasons was he said that he always saw the end of Ryan's story with Ryan dying in some
Yeah.
way, and this is
But
probably
don't you think it'd be more poetic if he died at the hands of his Ubanian?
Yeah,
like...
he did say something like that. Like it was a bit out of the blue, and
Yeah,
I think, I agree. Like
Yeah.
it would be
I
nice
think a
if it was
planned
next
character
session.
death at the end of like an arc
Yeah,
is much better than a random combat based one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes it's
'Cause you
just
never
kind
really
of,
see it
that's
coming.
kind of how it is sometimes, right? Sometimes you just straight up die in combat.
I mean, that's what it is for an
Yeah.
adventure. You
Yeah,
know?
like
It's just
kind of the sometimes the
then the
expected
holder
outcome.
just lasers you down into nothing.
Like if it was one of you guys who got hit with the death ray or a disintegration ray,
I'd be quite sad right now.
it'd be
Yeah,
pretty sad. Yeah.
I'd be sad.
yeah, like
It's
it would
because
I-
like
I-
we've got so
Yeah.
much history and we've got so much
planned.
planned. Yeah, we've got so many arc potentials and story potential that
I think
What's
many of
Storm
us-
got is Storm hasn't got arc or story potential, let's say, because Storm's whole thing is he's along for the ride to learn and grow and see and gather. And his thing is about the demon arm, which he's kind of, I would say that arc is kind of coming to more of a close, and it's not probably not
soon.
long until it's
Yeah.
soon done.
Doesn't he have something back at home with like the Jaguar Lords?
That's never been necessarily a thing. Like it's just a part of culture whenever that happens, and it's it's not a massive thing, and I think Albert and I cleared up what that was rather than just being
we
a
ended
meme.
up changing a few things.
And the Tabaxis are a way more established race now than they ever have been. But the whole thing is he's there to learn and grow and learn more. So ultimately, Storm's arc either ends in him going, something so crazy happens that he doesn't go back to Tabaxi Land, and he sets up shop as a barkeeper, you know, something like that, follows in like the Goliath's footsteps under Twister, or he dies, or he goes back to the Tabaxi, marries the woman that he's got there with, like, you know, his lady, and has kids and grows old.
One of the kids writes a book about him.
Yeah, but there's no arc apart from these marks, these symbols. Whereas, and I specifically didn't want that. I didn't want a big tragic cliche backstory for my character, because I feel like I feel like you should have a character that has no, my dad died and I think my uncle did it. Sorry, Toka, that's just the first one that came to my head. But like, it's a big Skyrim-esque arc, isn't it? Like, I'm the leader of the kingdom and I need to take back my glory, or whatever, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if every character in your adventuring party isn't going to have that, you're going to have a guy who was a kid and just like, he saw an adventure at a pub one day with his dad and went, I want to be that when I'm older.
Me.
It's less the like what the backstory is. It's more of, I think most characters tend to kind of shine more when they actually have a goal they're working towards. It's not necessarily that they're like had a crap backstory, or not crap, they had a sad backstory or something like that, or they have a really grand backstory like Snows or Tokals or something like that. It's just that, you know, characters that have a goal, and this is just stories in general, characters that have like a tangible goal that they're working towards, or maybe more abstract, but a goal nonetheless, are characters that are more compelling than characters that don't, because they seem a bit more directionless, you know. But just because you don't have a goal now doesn't mean one won't pop up later. So,
and I think with the recent developments of Storm, for example, with the Radalak Church in Igni, what's the name? Vosny. I've got it written down. It's not in my brain right now, but old Vosny. You know, I think helping people on their journey, I think that will be his mission for a while, and I think him genuinely caring for the party and him pushing them in their goals, I think will be the point of it. And maybe Storm will find something for himself along the way, but I think that's a good turnaround for Storm, as like a selfless entry into his like next part of his life as he grows up. But anyway, Ryan, lifeless body on the floor. He
died.
And we finish combat. The Beholder's dead on the floor after Snow gives him a final blap blap. And we all kind of go...
Hold up.
Sorry.
Low key, I was a little bit annoyed at the end. Because Snow deals the final blow.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Lachlan and Kevin here. And I turn around. I see you two on the phone. I'm just like...
I know exactly what it was.
That took out all the wind in my sails. I was just like, okay, the hold is dead. Combat's done. I was ready to be like, all right, it's over. Let's just end it here.
I saw that on you as well.
All my energy was like,
I
don't blame you guys for that.
Well, it's the thing is, Aiden's just died.
Yeah.
And he jumped onto TikTok, which is, you know... But when you're sat next to a boy who's showing you his phone... And I feel like I'm generally quite good at staying engaged with the combat. So I do feel bad about it, but... You know.
Yeah, honestly, that was a frustrating fight for me. I felt like even though I wasn't the one that was getting dicked the most, or that goes to Ryan. I did get dicked a couple of times, but it's just like, it's one of those enemies where, like, you know the boss in the video game that's like you just can't get past, but it just feels so unfun to play against, and you're just slogging it. And at the end of that, like I was getting to that point, like I was at that point. I was like, I just want this to be over. Like,
I mean, look, I agree. I think I was there too, because Big Ape would just have to stand there for ages, and I wasn't really sure. And that's like, I did kind of change up and start changing what I was doing, but there was nothing I could do between those points. And I think sometimes concentration, just when you're looking at one thing for an hour and a half, and I think that's, I think it's the bad of the player for sure. And maybe that can be remedied with, this is an hour and a half long thing, 45 minutes into it, stand up for a second, walk away, come back. Or, we spoke about this at the start, and I think it's just shitty things that happen sometimes. But I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little mad about it. Like, I want at least like a modicum of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone else is DMing, I try to give them my full attention every time. I don't just go on Facebook and just like fucking look at whatever. I do try to give them my full attention, because I feel like Aiden should know this especially, and I think all of you should know this as well. That people put a lot of effort into what they write, and they kind of the expectation is that people are here because of that, right? Not just to hang out with each other. There's another reason other than that. And when that's not shown, it kind of hurts a little bit. Not gonna lie, I was like, okay, yeah, that's how it be. That's how it be, huh?
Yeah, you've spent a week working on that,
be.
and it's like you can listen to me for 5 hours, and you're here for that, and you understand what this is. So I completely understand it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, and we've never been a group where it's like put your phones in a bucket, or because I don't think we're that bad. I never look at anything on my own phone when I'm there, apart from my character sheet.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're that bad. I think there are moments that it does happen, and it's like, do we just need to get really used to like just saying, stop fucking doing that, like real hard? And I know we've started calling each other out on certain things as well, like if two players get carried away talking about their character sheet or something like that, it's like, fucking listen back in. And I think we're all very comfortable doing that, and I think it's just a case of players that keep other players in line as well. Just being like,
well, for what it's worth, I don't think I was on my phone, but I was definitely checked out at that point, which I do apologize for. And I'll just have to keep in mind that there needs to be a level of respect there, regardless of the energy level.
Agree.
Yeah. So
you want to talk about a way about checking people back in? It's killing off your first character of the campaign.
And that's why you died. Got him. Nah,
sorry, Rattleye couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make a call.
I'm out of magic spells,
Oh, no.
Well, that was one of those things. Is then the next funny thing happened about fucking players in the campaign, which is old Snokel. Kevin, you look at Tokel's character, you're like, we've got Revivify. It's in the time limit.
This is
We've got we knew we had the diamonds because we
this
prepped for this moment, and he didn't have Revivify prepared. The paladin, and so Matt couldn't make it to the session today. So, we couldn't make fun of him in person.
So instead,
we called him.
And I feel a little bit bad for Matt.
He should have it prepared.
He copped it pretty hard.
Kevin's always like that, though.
Kevin is like that, but it's funny.
He sounded a little dejected on the phone. I don't know.
It sounded like he wanted to be here, but once he learned that Ryan died, I guess. But what paladin?
It must be a mistake. I think it's a mistake. Like he bought the diamonds. He has the diamonds.
I remember he and I and maybe some others
purpose.
went out to the shop and bought 3,000 worth of diamonds, so we had 3 Revivifies in the pocket.
Well, his D&D Beyond page, I don't think his bookkeeping's bad. Even though D&D Beyond does most of it for you, I think he genuinely forgot or something like that.
Yeah.
But there were
he seemed like he didn't think we needed
There
it.
was stuff on there that wasn't updated, like the lay on hands was full, even though he probably forgot to update it or something like that. And there was way less spells than I thought there would be, but I don't think paladins get a lot of spells. But the number one spell you should always have is Revivify in case something happens.
When you spoke to him, he said, I didn't think anything had happened, but the things he said that for this session, but he had his spells prepared for the last session, because there's no way he would have been able to re-prepare them for this. There was no long rest. So that means last time, when we knew we were going into combat, he didn't change any of his prepared spells, which I know you do with Maple. Like, every long rest you go, what are we doing the next day? Let's change it. and I know it's a pain in the ass for casters to do that,
So
which is why I love
taxing.
playing a bard,
Yeah.
because I'm like,
You're stuck with that.
I just have all of them. It's like, these are my spells and that's it, which makes it easy, and it means I can never play a wizard because I will forget. I'll be terrible with it.
Yeah, I
Clerics,
struggle a lot going through. It
wizards.
takes me like 15 minutes every time.
Paladins.
Yeah.
You find that like you're making hard choices between spells, or is there always like like the best
especially with
loadout?
5th level spells, because I'm getting a few more. Like I had Seeming originally,
Which
and
we've never used. I think we
used
used
once.
once,
used a couple times.
but it wasn't like
Yeah.
a crucial moment.
Yeah, and I now
that
have disguises for it.
Oh yes, yeah. Never for crucial.
Yeah, and now I have
lady.
scrying, and I have polymorph, and teleportation circle, which is a huge one. And if I hadn't taken teleportation circle and I'd taken something else, we might have been screwed.
Might have just popped up in the desert somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, we might still be screwed. That's the thing. So, because like for my level 5, I have animate objects and scrying as well. Scrying
Yeah.
seems useful. I don't know if it ever will be, but you immediately sat down and started drawing out the teleportation
Yeah.
circle. I think during that time we were all kind of panicking a little bit. I went and hacked up the beholder and tried to just grab as much
Yeah.
stuff off him as I could, and scraped up a bunch of the broken crystal. I was like, I don't know what's good, but
When we
Or something.
finished, when we ended, I was like, man, we dipped out of there really quickly. There was stuff there. Like there's
I grabbed all the
There is
jewelry off the
stuff
people
there.
while we were waiting. I grabbed all of the beholder
Yeah.
tentacles and the iris of its main eye.
Yeah,
and I
don't
grabbed
think-
all the crystal shards. Surely that's everything that's
I don't
there.
mean things. I mean
Like more to
there's
explore.
more to it.
More to the castle. you
Yeah,
mean, the
I don't
whole
think that was the
entire-
end.
Well, I was so good being out of there because Ryan was dead. We walked through it. We had Snow and Storm carrying the body of Ryan, with Maple and Tokal kind of ahead. Coming
We
out of
arrived
the portal.
at the college,
Mm.
yeah, and I think you could have made it a lot harder for us. to
Yeah, I
get
was-
through. I
Yeah.
think you just wanted to end the
It's
session.
not an excuse, but yeah, I was super checked out. I was
Yeah.
like, this should be over by now.
I didn't want you to make it harder, but
It should have been.
I know you normally do make it really hard to get out of situations like that.
I was
Like,
going to try and super weaponize my persuasion, like
yeah.
Let us out.
let us out. Just kind of, I've got it. That if there's a time ever to use a +13 persuasion, that's the time to do it.
yeah,
So I think we would have been all right, even if
Yeah,
it
I
was a
think you
harder
guys would have been
situation.
it's gonna bite me in the ass anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll take care of it.
A lot
Like,
of
we
things
always
are.
do.
Yeah,
But we
Yeah.
basically sprinted through the streets of Huria with the dead body
Coming through.
of Ryan, the wanted dead body of Ryan, into
And
Radlak's church.
we're all pretty famous now, so
We
we
are
had
all
a
pretty
following,
famous.
and everyone knows each one of us in the group and which one was missing. Oh well, we didn't cover him, did we?
No, we
No.
literally just carried his body as it was. So he had a big
I hope
singed
there were
hole
no
for his chest.
children
wasn't-
around.
Yeah, it wasn't really around for long because Radalak, after you
Yeah.
asked him to, help him out,
Yeah.
took him out around the back. So
Radlak took him away and I basically said, we need you to revive him. Radlak said it would take a bit of time. And then I think each of our characters kind of started crying.
Sad.
yeah, I think
Sadness.
the fact that he had died was really starting.
It all kind of hit.
Yeah.
Well, that was it's like phase of panic for 20 minutes, and then like once it was gone, it was like, oh shit,
He did.
yeah.
He
And
did.
so like time and passage turn up, and it's just a bit of like he dead, and that's all we want to
Like,
say
oh,
right
shit,
now.
He did.
And it leads well because Aiden also can't make it to the next session, so
Yeah.
as if that wasn't the best setup for
Yeah,
them
yeah,
of all time.
Did you do this on purpose?
No.
It's better than Pirates, where
I mean,
he's
to be
asleep.
fair, I think Resurrection takes like one turn to do.
Yeah.
I-
maybe he has to
again,
gather some
Maybe he's got like
material.
20 other bodies he's got in line. He's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
just go
we-
first.
we
Yeah,
understand,
This guy
we
next, this guy
understand.
next.
But like, I like the idea. You're bringing a dude back from the dead. He's got a hole in
It
his
might take a
chest.
while, yeah,
It will
yeah.
take a second, and he's probably Ryan
It's
will probably wake up
expensive.
earlier than you think. But like,
He's like recovering.
stay in the
He's like-
bed, bro.
He's seen some shit.
He has a hole in
You've
his
seen
chest.
hell.
Seen
He needs
God.
to chill out.
It does say in the spell that it heals all wounds, but man, that's a big wound.
If he comes out of it, depending on whatever you figure out with Aiden,
Hmm.
I would love if he's met up with some god and he now knows who he's
I met
playing.
my god,
I
guys.
would love
I
it
did
if he
say
came
that
out and he
to
was
him.
like, he's like, yo, my god, I seen him.
We hung out. We chilled.
Now, what would you guys think if he didn't come back?
It's what it is.
I think
And
he'd be
It is what
okay
it
with
is.
it.
yeah, I think we've set
No,
him up for the.
What you guys would think. Would you guys be fine and be like, oh, okay?
Yeah, it's his character. It's his choice. It's
Okay.
his
Yeah,
body's
it would
choice.
leave it would leave a lot hanging open. I
A lot of-
think for
Yeah, a lot of loose ends.
for Ubania because he's the reason we kind of know some of the movements of Ubania, and so if we didn't have that, there's just this secret organization going on around us.
But what if it turns into like he leaves his signet ring and he says, "You need to return this to my mother," or something, and then it opens up a weird we still have to go to Ubania. It's not closed off the area to
It's
us.
for our dead friend.
Yeah, this is now for our dead friend, and then we have old Jolly Gringot, the new goblin who's with us. I have no idea what the character is he's prepared.
Jolly Green.
Gringot the goblin, who comes along.
I thought it was Beres. It was his next character. Or was
No,
that a character?
Beras was just one he makes. That was an OP Minotaur character, man.
He's got a lot of OP characters.
He does. Hopefully this one, if it's more RP based, it means it's not as min-max, which means it'll be more fun for him to play.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Doesn't mean you can't min-max and also have a fun.
I
arc.
made
Is it some poorly optimized mess?
It's pretty good. It's RP. It's
It is
RP
RP?
based. Yeah.
I made a character called the Teleport Dwarf.
It's deeper than that. He was deeper than that.
Honestly, I have a
like
pretty
it.
weird character, like, as a backup.
Mm.
I hope I never get to use him, but it'd be interesting to play.
Albert knows my backup character.
I've heard a lot about your backup
I
character.
do quite love my backup character, but I hope Storm doesn't die. I want to let go of him when I'm ready to let go of him.
Okay.
Because Storm's a bit more of an embodiment of myself, I think, than most other characters I'll make.
I think that's good. I think that's good that you cherish Storm that way. I cherish Snow that way as well.
Mhm.
I hope he does, he fulfills at least the end of his arc. So that's about it. If you're not invested in your character, then yeah, it's just instantly half the fun of it is out of D&D.
I think there's one thing you missed from last week that I was thinking about, and I actually spoke with Lachlan about it.
What is?
When, you just said we all got consumed by the purple worm.
Yeah, I was
That's
a
true.
little. I was
I
a little
thought
disappointed.
it was a little disappointing because,
Yeah.
there's a lot of tension. We're all going, and people are getting slowly eaten as we're trying to
That was
escape,
a-
and I'm
that was a
digging
big
20
deal.
foot a second as an Umber Hulk. First time I've ever been one, so it was all kind of clumsy. And then, in the panic, Maple goes,
What if I
"Do
tell
you trust me?" And I was like... and then he
I
grabbed
just
me and
grabbed him.
dimension doored into it. I thought that was the cleanest get
Yeah, you
into a
didn't-
situation
you
I've
didn't
ever
Oh, we
mention
didn't
seen.
mention that, did we?
No.
No.
You were just everyone gets swallowed and that's the
I
end.
missed that.
But
I missed that.
yeah,
It's this
Let's
nu-
talk about it now.
these nuances. This was it.
Well, yeah,
it was a very high pressure situation.
We
It
did
was.
discuss it briefly in the last
Yeah.
pod. I think it was like a little railroady, but Albert did have it planned for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not as
so-
against railroady as I think. I know you're quite against
I
railroady
think
stuff.
I didn't realize at the time. I don't know how I didn't realize that it was railroady, but I was like, oh shit.
That's the magic.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Everyone's dying. I was
Yeah, I
like,
mean, if it's
well,
railroady with like a slim chance you get out of it, if you like make some crazy roll, I think that's cool. But
I think I could have dimension doored twice. So I was like, we get in and we see what we can do from inside.
But
Oh, and then you get
you were
out.
locked in.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
I think it was a smart move to Dimension Door there, don't you, Kevin?
I agree.
I didn't even know that you guys even. I actually no. I do remember
Yeah.
you using Dimension Door, but I didn't know you were going to do it inside the worm. I thought you were going to try and
leave.
escape.
No, we did it into the
We
worm,
went into it.
and then he was
Yeah.
going to try and get us out with it. But
Yeah, I
So-
tried to time it so that I went right into the middle of this where I thought the stomach would
What
be.
was the disappointing? Why were you disappointed?
You
you
didn't
didn't
mention
mention
it in the
it.
pod.
There's a flare there. That
Oh,
you
right.
Need to mention. You're usually quite good
Yeah.
at hitting
I
it.
thought-
And I think
yeah.
We both
I thought that was
missed
good thinking on Maple's part that like added to the tension and the
Thanks.
because he basically just teleported me and him into like the unknown, which was
Yeah.
what if he
Yeah.
teleported us and
'Cause
missed the pocket
there was
dimension?
so much-
Just we ended
Yeah.
up in the
In the
actual
stomach.
story.
I guess we died here.
That was kind of what I was thinking. I was like, we got to go in after them. We can't just.
But I could
leave
Umber
them.
Hulk my way out of him.
Could you?
I mean, it's a wall.
Maybe before you get dissolved
Yeah.
by stomach
Yeah.
acids.
You could just protect
Well,
us.
that was the
Yeah.
that to me that was the only
I
decision we
like
could make.
that because you didn't actually know. I didn't say what happened to those guys
Yeah.
until after everybody was in there. So you knowingly went
Yeah.
into a
I
fucking
couldn't-
worm
I
stomach.
couldn't leave my party. We
And we were
couldn't
the
just
only
try
two
and
that were
leave.
conscious when we
Yeah.
got there.
Yeah.
Everyone else was unconscious.
Yeah, we would have
That was
just
good.
woken up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lachlan has a lot of good creative ideas. Like even
Yeah,
Thanks.
this session with the throne and the painting,
Yeah.
where you were trying to piss
Yeah.
off the beholder, because he had some kind of connection with the king to get to attack you to turn off the charm.
Oh, you were attacking the throne. I thought
Yeah.
you were just
Yeah,
smashing
the
some
throne.
dining chair or something to try and talk.
No, he smashed the throne, and I went, "That's a good
Chandelier.
idea." I smashed a chandelier in a table, and nothing happened. And I was like, "That was a terrible idea. That's to the worst."
Yeah.
I have a question now that we've got two more players here, because one of the biggest changes in the last 3 sessions is the big changes of heart for a lot of characters. My character's gone through a massive one. I know Snow's gone through one. And I think Tokul really wants to go through a bigger one. And I think he's getting there, but I think I planned mine with you a fair amount to make it all make sense. And obviously Tokul's pushing towards that as well.
Tokul is a tough journey. I think he's, I think as a character, he's finding it very difficult to be a better person because he's always been someone that, he's royalty, you know? He's kind of got that kind of silver spoon thing, do what he wants, you know, because he can. But now he's got some responsibility to uphold, especially with his god. And we know how that went down when he first got the revival.
Storm has been the worst influence on Tokul.
Immediately bungled up the new oath in the god.
What did we do again?
Well, I think he died, came back, Phoenix style, and then the next day, I think the Hevroth's slave owner, the merchant.
Oh yeah, he and I.
He threatened to kill him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bunch, like half the party.
This is where we badgered up, and then
half the party went over
that.
and
Yeah.
assaulted this guy in his
his sleep.
in his room in the inn for no reason. And Tokul's just out there minding his. Oh, he's not out there minding his, but he's out the door because he's. And then he comes, and then you guys
tell anyone, we'll kill you.
You guys are done mauling this guy, and then Tokul for some reason goes in. And he's like, "Yeah, if I ever see you again, I'm gonna kill you."
Which is so strange because we were giant badgers. Like, you do not know who we were. It was like the best form of disguise you could ever have. And for all they know, 2 giant badgers could have just walked in and mauled him and left. But it was just so funny. And I think because what I really enjoyed about early format of Tokul and Storm is that they were silly. They were silly
Some
together.
dumb shit
They
together.
did a lot of dumb stuff. And when he phoenixed, I really felt like I had lost a character's
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
And of course Storm was trying to get him to do mischievous stuff like he always did, but he was like, "No, I don't want to." And
But then he did.
then he did. And then I think I took a massive part in ruining his relationship with that.
Like, that would have been a good a role play moment if Storm was just kind of coming to terms that people don't always stay the same and stuff like that.
I think that's coming. That's come along. It's really hard to go from Storm basically not having any compassion at all to him now being very compassionate, I would say. And just making sure I practice that into what I'm saying. And I take a bit more thought before I try and make a move or make a decision, because I have a new thought process that isn't just chaotic, basically. Which makes it wild.
You think you've grown as a player since then?
I think so. I think I liked D&D because I like to cause a lot of chaos in a fantasy scenario.
Yeah.
Which is fun for a while, but then I realised once we got to Huria and I think the storylines became a bit more intense, I realised all I was doing was I was just ruining other players' experiences. Maybe not in an extreme sense, but I felt like the day that we did the pirates, the Stone Spire Pirates,
I think
The
we all
curse
felt
session.
that.
I
Yeah.
personally wasn't feeling great that day, as a human. So that translated into the character, which will happen, just inevitably would happen, because it's your own thoughts and your own process embedded in that. And after that, I was like, oh, that's not cool. It's now a little funny thing that didn't cause too much of an impact, but at the time, it was our only big lead in our story or our plot.
We just kind of been thrown around by a lot of primes, and then
And it was probably, I think it was quite crushing, yeah.
And then lost him in the same.
And just because I wanted to start an argument with the pilot of the main ship,
Yeah.
you know? And, the same thing comes, and I think that came along when Igmar gave me the little nod. I was saying to you, but as Lewis, as a human, I had to swallow my pride. Just say okay, I've never felt so much disdain towards a character than fucking Igmar. Honestly, he might be my most hated character, only because
CBEG.
he's just a massive wank lord. Honestly,
Well-
I killed his uncle because he deserved it, and I had that whole coin thing going on at the time. And then, the coins disappeared. I don't think we ever told the players
what
that.
happened to the coin?
When I buffed up and went through that process, the coin disappeared. But that's just not something I think we addressed.
No, I don't think it is.
No.
But coins gone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
because fuck, that was the most chaotic thing we did.
Yeah.
That was a difficult
At the
one.
very start, we were like, if this gets too chaotic, we're gonna have to rein it back.
Which we did immediately. Like as soon as we noticed it going, it's like I think I messaged you and went, "This ain't good," because you notice I was free flipping it at the start,
Yeah.
but then by a certain point, I was messaging Albert going like,
Should I do
"Is
it?
this the
Is
time?"
this the time?
Like I want the DM to tell me because I felt like I was just going like, "Boop, all right, now to murder everyone," you know, and it just that doesn't work. I did enjoy the murder the uncle little thing. Like carrying his body to the edge and just throwing it off and just.
Yeah, it seems in character
But now
at the
Storm,
time.
Storm's a different boy.
He's changed,
We have
man.
to remember he's buff.
Well, yeah. I mean, I know I have some NPCs that I don't particularly
Yeah, I know
like.
you
Yeah, I know you
Yeah.
don't like some NPCs.
But that's not because like you're playing them bad or anything. It's just simply the characters themselves.
I think it's
kind
because
of
you're playing them good. They have
they
their own
kind of-
personality.
They kind of clash with Snow, and Snow's not all about that, so he doesn't fuck with them.
When you're trying to introduce such an array of characters, someone's not gonna like.
Yeah,
someone.
I mean,
That's
You
the
know,
someone
point
like-
of it, though.
bounce
You don't
off. Yeah.
expect everyone to like everyone.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
the same in the
I
real
like
world.
it when I
Like,
play.
yeah.
Just like Strongjaw. I think Snow fucking hates Strongjaw. I think it's more because you don't like party tagalongs.
Well, yeah, because I had a bad experience with party tagalongs
They drag us down.
before majority of the party started playing,
Yeah.
and that was a clusterfuck. Like, I think you guys know like most of the context already, but there was a particular character which is quite contentious among the OG three, me, Matt, and Rainier, who fortunately has stopped playing for a while now, but.
It's not Lucius, is it?
No, it was another character called Bennett, who is now dead. Right?
More like Deadnet. Yeah.
Well, he's
got
dead.
him.
Full stop. And basically, you know, Rainier's first character called Sieg, who was this
Yeah.
priest dude, like decided to take this guy along as like an acolyte.
Similar to what he did at that little witch town. But
Yeah.
he like converted
got
someone
converted.
and to the
Kinda.
kinda.
It was kind of a different vibe.
Okay.
This guy,
It was more culty.
this particular character Sieg comes from an order of clerics called the
Orange Heart.
The Orange Heart,
Yes.
which we haven't touched upon too much since he changed characters.
Hasn't been important.
At all. But this particular character, yeah, he was all about like being the kind of executioner of justice, like more paladin than paladins normally should be. And he saw this guy, and this guy has a lot of like backstory to him because we kind of fucked around with him, similar to Cedric, but like
Cedric was, just so you know, you say Bennett was before the OGs. Cedric was before I joined, so Cedric is even before
Cedric and Bennett actually like I think
be in the same
I
session.
think they're in the same town. They were
Yeah.
in the same
Oh,
town
really?
together.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bennett was this guard who was in this unrequited love triangle with this chick who was married. The guy she was married to was a werewolf who, after a long quest, ended up killing his own wife. And then Bennett goes crazy, and then Sieg's like, yeah, if you join my cult, I'm going to give you power, and I'm going to send you on this quest to kill the werewolf. And Bennett's like, yeah, whatever, get out of my way. And he's like, wait, I got to put a mark on your hand. Sees a mark on this guy's hand, sends him off.
like brands him.
Yeah, brands him.
Okay.
Brands him with the heart seal or whatever it was. Then like 15 sessions later, we find this guy in an underground dungeon in this town of, were people, right?
Yeah.
It's like a sanctuary of were people. And he tells us, Bennett tells us that eventually he found the werewolf and killed him. And then these guys were like, oh, no. That's like, you did that in the wrong place. He was one of our crew. You don't do that. We're going to, they imprisoned him. And then, after we finished our business there, we're like, hey, can we take this well, C was like, hey, I'm gonna take this kid. And so I was like, no, we're not taking this kid. You know where we're going? We're going to the Orc Stronghold where all the shit was going down. And he's like, don't worry. I'm just gonna, it'll be fine. So, journey down, Sieg is like trying to like, basically preaching at this kid, and he's like catatonic, like not responsive at all. And then, I think just before we left the town, Snow was like, okay, but if anything happens to him, your responsibility. Yeah, right? So, we get to the Orc Stronghold, and we meet up with some other Dragonborn, like, I think Barash, the blue? Red.
He was red. He was red.
Okay,
I feel like I've met that Dragonborn before.
Maybe once.
Maybe once. Early on.
We meet up with these other Dragonborn, and they're like, okay, we're going... I can't remember what they were doing down there. I think there were scouts or something like that, like Denetharian scouts or something like that. We go into this mountain, but Bennett is outside, and Sieg stays behind with him, and he kind of... Rainier does this like note thing, or just between him and the DM. Once we're done our business down in the mountain, we come back out. We find out that Sieg's gone. Bennett is on the floor with his hand chopped off. The hand that the seal was on. And we're like, what the fuck? What's going on? Then Sieg goes on this wild chase because we met a potential BBEG earlier who was this like blue-suited blue demon guy, right? And Sieg's like, he just runs off, right? Like, I'm not really sure what the actual narrative reason why he ran off.
But I
think Rainier wanted to change characters at this point. And I'm trying to be as unbiased with this as possible, okay? Sure. But I do have like my own opinion on like what actually happened. And you agree, right? This is like kind of how it went down so far.
From your point of view, yes, that is what it looked like.
Okay, but is that right? I'm telling you to correct me if I'm skewing this too much.
Yeah, that's about right.
That's about right, right? That's about right. So Sieg is running off. The blue demon is chasing him now, and I think Alvin was like, "You wanted to get this guy." Until
I didn't want to kill.
You did.
As me role playing the bad guy, I obviously wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Not out of any bias or hatred towards...
No, I mean, like, the intention was to kill.
Yeah.
So you wanted to get him.
Absolutely.
I wasn't saying for any, like, outside
ulterior motive. Yeah, he was definitely...
You wanted to kill that guy.
Yeah.
But then Sieg manages to get away, and that's the last we ever see of Sieg.
And he took the bag of holding.
And he took the bag of holding, all the stuff
How did you get a new bag of holding?
I think we found it. We found another one. We found
eventually, like 10 sessions later.
I always forget we have one. I think you carry it now, don't you? Because you keep it tidy.
Yeah, well, Tokul used to carry it, and she used to
it was full of dirt and flowers and shit.
She used to like pick up flowers, but instead of just picking up the flower, he would like grab the ground underneath it as well and put that in.
Keep alive.
I should have put all the. I forget we have one. I should have put all the.
Oh yeah, you were just like...
I'm literally fucking double fisting with all this...
When you guys pick stuff up, I just assume you put it in the bag.
Yeah,
okay,
I
good.
thought so too.
Anyway,
yeah.
I'll finish this up soon.
Yeah.
But we decided to like, okay, Bennett's still alive. I think we managed to like cauterize the wound. Oh, it was already cauterized because somehow Sieg like lightsabered it off somehow. And we take him along and like, okay, we're just gonna like find a safe place and we're just gonna drop him off. And because we fucked around with this kid too much now, he's missing a hand for like, we don't know why. Don't know why he's missing a hand. Sieg chopped it off. And then he follows us to this cave, which was kind of like a final boss for that arc. And we come up to the snow elves that are summoning this spider demon. And he's in there. Everyone's in that fight. And this is kind of like a clusterfuck fight. Snow was kind of like torn between these two sides, and he like briefly turns on the party and stuff like that. And then Bennett comes in and he's like, I want to fight too, or something like that. He runs in, charges a snow elf, like plated snow elf, who just goes boop boop.
But was Bennett like a 10 HP character?
Yeah, he was peasant level, like guard level.
Jesus.
And I think at this point, Rainier was playing his new character Eisen.
Yes.
And Snow and Eisen both tried to stop him from like just running in there. Failed the rolls. Runs in there. He gets bonked by the snow elf. Doesn't stop when he's unconscious. Keeps bonking him and then he dies. Then he dies, and then there's a bit of like party conflict. It's like, okay, pointing fingers at each other. I won't get into that too much, but yeah, that's why I don't want to fuck around with party tagalongs, because it just ends badly for everyone that's involved. Okay, you don't understand.
I feel like we gave Strongjaw a little good send off. We paid for his tuition, put him in college.
Yeah,
I can't wait
become
to
a
see
shit
what
boy.
It's got a good
becomes of
ending.
him.
Yeah,
got a good ending.
Yeah.
we do know he's going to be a necromancer BBG, but
I argue that Bennett also had a good ending. He had a conclusive ending.
Yeah.
No, well, at the time you probably wouldn't have agreed with that, but I guess now, yeah.
He did.
looking back,
So the whole reason he charged these, it's not because he's like dumb or crazy, is that because they were holding these other people hostage.
Yeah.
And in particular, they were holding a kid hostage. And Bennett was like, "Oh shit, this is it. This is how
why
I
I'm
redeem
alive.
myself. This is how I'm going to spend the last of my life." And he does succeed in saving the kid, who was Lucius, and that's how they know each other.
well, there you bloody go.
So it's not. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well,
Well, we don't have party pets anymore.
I specifically remember you saying, "Oh my god, I'm so disappointed Bennett died, because
I didn't want him to die.
If he
obviously.
lived, he was gonna be epic." All right.
Like how you say, I didn't want him to die, but you're both
had
the
an
person
ending.
playing
You were
him
the one
and the
who
person
sent it
killing
in,
him.
yeah.
As DM, I don't want him to die. As a person, I don't want him to die. But as playing him, I thought this is
Makes
probably where
sense.
he would die.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean I want him to die, because he was going to be cool. He was going to have like a gun attached to his chopped off hand. And he
Alright,
was gonna
speaking
have, like,
about
a
old
sword.
characters, if you could see one old character come back and like make a cameo or be a new storyline, what character would you choose?
Like old
And
characters.
like an old character.
Like someone we played.
Someone in Axia, an NPC that we know, or like someone we've met. I know who mine is, but I don't know. You don't really have. You haven't
don't
met
have that
many
much
characters
history.
apart from the recent
you
stuff.
are the newest.
I mean, Passage can join the party whenever he wants.
You're a Passage fan. I like
No,
that. I like
I-
this man.
I don't feel like
no,
Passage
no.
should get this
Oh,
hate. You know?
Passage- Passage and Maple
No
didn't
way.
get
You
along
asked for
from the
comments, I
start.
commented. Stop the Passage hate 2021.
Yeah,
It's a new
what
campaign
Passage
of
did
stuff.
nothing
No,
wrong.
fuck Passage 2021.
Fuck Passage was 2020.
He fucked me over when I first met him, and now he's like acting all like high and mighty, like just wants to get invited to things just to say no to them. That's petty. Hey,
I
what the
mean,
fuck?
He
He
said
didn't
yes
fuck you
to
over.
the-
He said yes to my contract and said yes to the one you put up.
Yeah, but that wasn't for him. That wasn't for him. That wasn't for him.
You wanted a different adventurer.
That's
I
a
think-
tag along.
I think the one I want to bring back.
Is that a tag along?
I want to bring back the first person that Storm ever had an adversarial thing with.
First person Storm ever had.
Do you remember the rat-looking people?
Oh,
The leader of them. The only one that's
Harkon or
alive
whatever his
is the
name was.
leader.
Yeah, he's busy.
He's the Adventurers Guild. He was actually high. It was platinum in the Adventurers, wasn't he?
He wasn't. I think it was the same level as you guys.
shit.
So maybe one above.
Completely forgot
We're
about like the
platinum,
Adventurer
aren't we?
Guild.
I
ranks
convinced them
and
to
things like-
take us up a level.
What
Yeah.
what rank did we end up being in the Adventurers Guild?
Remember, I found out all the ranks. I tried to convince them to give us the highest one, and I just worked my way down.
we got up to
Platinum.
like plat, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Which
platinum.
is pretty high.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
We're fairly high ranked because we pushed our way. We could probably go convince someone to give us more, but we need to go to
Lachlan,
Aegis or
Do you know
something.
about the rat people?
I do not know about
The
that.
body rat
that's,
people.
that's before his time.
All
But
right.
tell him about the rat people.
I
Oh
want to
my
tell you
gosh.
because this is my
Yes.
first like.
Fuck these
It was
guys.
my first session, my first 2 sessions with these people. So I come into D&D, I'm like, I want a bard because I'm a musician, so I want to like, I just wanted something I could relate to, something that would be easy. And I always like playing magical people, and the one that imbue their music with magic, I thought that's dope.
Yeah,
Also, they happen to be super charismatic because it's what it's built around.
Mischievous.
And
In
mischievous.
general.
So, I come in and how did I actually join up with the party? Do you remember?
You were playing a song in the middle of the dungeon,
I think
which you already slipped into
he
because Celathier,
was like math. He like
Yes,
he was gaseous
that was it.
form into the cell.
I fought some. I was with Celathier,
yeah,
Snow Elf,
Snow Elf, which is one of Eisen's friends.
One of Eisen's friends.
No, Snow Elf, just normal elf.
Normal Elf, and one of my friends as well.
What's a
From
normal
because
elf?
he's a bard.
It's like a wood elf.
So what else?
But he was for some reason I knew him, and we were good friends. And we found this note that said, "Go to these ruins, have a look around." At this time, I had gaseous form, which I got rid of. I was allowed one reshuffle of my spells. But basically, I'd slipped into this temple in the main area before the actual trial part, and I was just playing a little song, and I think you guys came along, and I was like, "Hey, I need to get in this dungeon, and you need to, so let's do it together."
We got a slot.
And we teamed up, and you're like, "Are you in the Adventurers Guild?" I was like, "No." But eventually, I went straight from 0 to platinum, so I think that's a good achievement. But basically, we're in there, and this temple was like a big Adventurers Guild contract for Trident. Trident.
Yeah.
And all of these Adventurers Guild teams started showing. There's a massive camp just down the road, and all these teams turned up. And I decided I wanted to convince them that I was the leader of the Adventurers Guild.
Yep.
For what reason?
Because you wanted to?
Just because I wanted to, I think.
so,
I was testing out how mechanic. This is literally my first session.
I think you said, like, I just want to see how far I can take this.
Yes,
before
I just wanted to see how far I could take it, and I had like decent persuasion. I was level 5, level 4 or something, and I basically stood up on a thing and went like, "Hello everyone, I am the leader. Everyone listen to me." And all of them are like pretty engaged. They were living it. And then it was just these 4. Then we call them rat people. They're humans that have rat like.
Well, I think they were specifically described as having rat-like features.
Yeah, so like short.
They're all and they had like real kind of
Peter
like
Pettigrew.
protruding faces.
Yeah, and so they were the only ones who were like, I don't know about this guy, but everyone else believed me. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then the actual leader of the guild, the local guild, walked in and is like, all right, this is the mission. And I stepped down and immediately went, "Hey, my name's Storm. Nice to meet you." And these rats were like, "This fucking guy," and they immediately didn't like me. Eventually, it became like almost a race where it was just their group of 4 or 5 and then our team that were like trying to finish the dungeon first to get the contract and the bounty. And I actually have another question related to this because there was some weird shit in that dungeon.
Okay.
So we kind of got to a point where there's this whole thing with the door and this passage with the upside down place. But then we got out and the rat people were there. And didn't they fight us?
They fight you.
No, but
No.
we were in the same fight where they.
That's where
mostly
Ryan
got-
joined us in the
Yes.
Necromancer fight.
Oh, did he join that?
That's when he first joined.
That's when he joined, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
him
I
and
guess-
you dead Ubanians at the back.
In game time, it was only like a couple of days later,
Yeah.
and then. But I think you joined, and then we had the year hiatus, and I remember feeling, oh, I feel bad for Lewis because he only got to play that character twice, which he ordered a custom model for, and then we didn't play Axio again for like
because we
nearly a
went
year.
on to all of
The
our
gap
custom
was
camp.
when he went to the upside down place, and there was a whole year
Correct.
between then and the next.
Because that was like 2 or 3 sessions for me, and then we went and did like a bunch
Every
of
other
one shots, and
campaign.
we did L5R and My Pirates and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up, and only the leader of the rat guys lived, and we ended up carrying him out of the place and to get healed up. But there was no mutual respect. We still hated each other, and I just want him to come back, and I want to be able to abuse him.
Isn't he dead?
No.
Or is most of his crew dead?
All of his crew
crew
apart
died.
from him. Yeah,
Wasn't there like a good mutual understanding at the end?
not with
Where
me.
I believe he gave you guys his cut, I think.
Oh, was it?
Because you guys helped him at the end.
I just remember.
I can't.
Oh, you didn't.
I don't know if that's
remember.
mutual respect or us just going like, fucking
Yeah,
A.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
could've been it.
remember.
But that's how we'll remember it. The other thing, that upside down place. So we found a door. Number one, we found a door that could speak to us.
Oh
and
my god.
He hated it. We found this door. We took it. We got Tokul to pull it off of his hinges as Barbarian at the
He
time.
rolled a nat 20. I didn't
Yeah.
expect them to be
Yeah.
able to pull a door
So-
off its hinges.
So
a magical
Tokul
door.
was carrying this talking door. He's like, "I'm gonna see the world." Can you do his voice?
He just shouted a lot.
Most obnoxious door ever.
He's
One
like-
of the worst party
like, what is
taglines.
some, like-
out of here!
I'm so glad we weren't able to carry him out of the dungeon because it was like, hey, don't put me down. I can't move.
Hey, what
I
about
can't
me?
move. I can't see. Hey, where you going?
We put him down to block a passage that we went into. That was like this side passage, and it led to this. I need more explanation. If it's not plot relevant anymore, I just need you to tell me about it. But it was like this massive cavern where gravity kept switching,
Yes.
and there were these big aberrant like dog things,
Yes. Eldritch dog.
eldritch dogs, and at the end of this walkway that's where we found that little pyramid thing that Eisen eventually got sucked into.
The plot. Pyramid of something transients.
Is
I
that
call
relevant
it the
anymore?
It's relevant when someone leaves a session with no reason why and just sucks them in. That's why I called it the plot.
Oh, was that
Nice.
was that the little diamond, the pyramid thing?
The little
Was that-
pyramid.
Yeah.
But what was up with the gravity switching room? I think it only sticks in my head because that's the thing I was left with for a whole
You
year.
just have to think
I
about
was
it
like, why does it exist? Now, as a more experienced player, I probably wouldn't care as much. I'd just be like,
Cool.
zip, zap, McGee, let's
Gravity
kill some
switching
Eldritch
room.
dogs and go.
I
But-
think at that point, that's when like the Adventurer's Storm really started to like kick off because then we started playing that again.
Yeah.
Like I actually don't remember that too much. I do remember like not playing Axie for a long time, and then we played that.
We came back to us going through that cavern.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was the weirdest.
Why is it a thing?
Yeah.
Like, why did it exist?
It's just why would we want to do that cavern exist off the side? Was it just for plot convenience?
There was, if I remember correctly, there was a hallway full of statues of different gods, and most of the names have been scratched out, and
Oh,
most
yes.
of their
Yeah,
busts
yeah,
have
yeah,
been
I
remember
absolutely
that.
desecrated. And one of them, in particular, had a resonance with your party. And so that statue like slid to the
Yeah,
side, and
yeah.
there was this underground walkway that went down. And it was going to give you some sort of gift of some sort. And at the time, I was just really interested in battles that moved.
Yeah.
Like literal moving battles, so like gravity switching would be
Yeah.
where you kind of like flip and people take fall damage, or if you're close enough to the side, use some acrobatic shit, you wouldn't take the fall damage, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And at the time, I was like, okay, what kind of monsters would fit in there? And I looked up some stuff, and these guys were there. And I was like, okay, let's just do this. And that's pretty much the crux of it, really.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it's just because, like, when I hear the word Eldritch behind something, I assume.
There's something else here.
But I assume that either there's something else or that they're powerful as shit.
Yeah.
But, like, I think that's just a stigma in my head because I think Lovecraft, which they are pretty much just
Yeah.
based on.
Yeah.
But, like, that thing we had in the water where we found Maple.
Now
Yeah.
that's Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that is-
Aboleth. Yeah.
The Aboleth. That kind of stuff, I'm always like, mm-mm. Mm-mm. Just, no. And I think Storm, agree. Mm-mm. I'm not here to adventure against Eldritch horrors.
Oh, you're not gonna like where we will be going with Eisen's stuff later on.
All of his stuff was Eldritch based, wasn't it?
So you know how you guys had those
Warlocks.
visions,
Yeah.
and they took you to various places. Like yours was in the giant tree.
Yeah.
His was underwater, deep underwater.
Because it was in the what was it the mall or
The
the buy,
mall.
which was like used to be where the old capital was.
I was where the old Aegis was, right?
Yes.
Where New Aegis is the Danatharian capital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I think Aegis encompassed both Ubania and Denethor.
Aegis was one.
And I think the collapse of the empire was like they
Which is what
split
led
it
to
to
the split.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that kind of stuff's interesting. You guys need to do a whole podcast based on that kind of lore and, you know, just compile that history together.
I don't think the lore that I know of is very fleshed out there. It's usually like, oh, if it's relevant, type something
I
up.
mean, not like a Tolkien style. The gods sang a song that, you know,
that
not
spawned
that,
the
yeah.
mountains and spewed
And
the
everyone
seas.
joined in, but Morgoth sang Dissonance, and, you know, I don't want any of that. I want just like, you know, this is Axia. We know there's other continents, but like this is the original kingdoms that were there, and then it's split into this. Like,
Yeah,
if you can
some
do a
history
kingdom
stuff.
fallen, like rise and fall kind of thing. I know you might not have the work there, so it would probably be really
I
difficult.
mean,
so.
we discussed. I've discussed this with Albert sometimes. I think in the past podcasts, like, yeah, I'd love to see just some more like history and stuff and see like, you know, where was this place at 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it
That'd be
is a
cool.
lot of work. So, you know, keep your expectations.
Low.
I mean, not low. I kind of
Rude.
but like just temper your expectations, you know, because it is a lot of work.
Anyway,
It's a lot of work.
I want to see Kragan again.
Kragan?
I like Kragan.
I also like Kragan.
I couldn't really.
I
think
wrote
of
him a
anyone
letter
else,
last
to be honest.
session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still hasn't responded to the last one you
That's-
sent him.
Did I send him one before
You
that?
did send him one.
Oh,
I still
I'm a
have it. I
thirsty
still have it
little
in my
bitch,
notes.
aren't I? I don't even remember what I sent him.
Honestly, there aren't many characters we've left behind that I liked a lot of. Can you
'Cause
think of any?
There were like, there's Tyr, there's Sugar.
Ooh. Oh, I want to see Sol and Demi again.
Oh yes,
like
yeah. Soul. I think. Have you met Soul? Soul was this kid merchant.
You met him once in a one shot. Haycock Soul House. That was
Oh, yeah. Well, Haycocks we did
What's
before
your
I
Haycocks?
understood.
Yeah, it was there.
We did that before I knew a lot of the backstory,
Yeah.
so a lot of the references were for you, but I enjoyed it, but like...
So was this like kid who sold magical knickknacks in his carriage.
Oh, that's where I learned about the rock of gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this kid. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Demi is the dwarf that travels with him.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's basically just
His
the
guard.
the
Yeah.
gruff.
chauffeur,
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. That was a cool character.
Soul and Demi. I think I'd like to see them again.
They're like Assassin's Creed has like this. It's like a young kid, but they're thousands of years old. They're like don't age, and they sell magical items. It's how they integrate their paid currency.
Ah,
thing.
okay.
But like, it's a cool little character because it's a merchant that just sets up shop around the
I
place.
think we have a god like that in Axia, don't we? We have the god of Curios.
Yeah, there is a god
Yeah.
that takes the form of a child. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that's him.
God of Curios.
Curios.
What was that god's name again?
Soul?
You're the DM. You should know. I don't know.
absolutely know its name.
Curiosa.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I just remember reading the little table
Hmm.
and the appearance that this particular god is like.
But
a
you guys
little-
actually read that? Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
you
course.
gave it to me. I read that.
You
shit.
gave us content
Oh,
about the world.
I just kind of put it out there. I don't expect
No,
you guys to read it.
I read
His
everything
name was
you said.
Solomon.
That's right.
Solomon.
That makes sense. Solomon.
He obviously doesn't see the
Soul.
De-
Oh,
Sol-
yeah,
is it Sol and
Yeah,
Demi?
yeah.
Is it Demi? Is
Yeah,
the
Demi.
Demi's a dwarf.
like demigod? Solomon and the
Demigod.
demigod.
Wow.
Yeah,
Alright, who
it's
you
A
wanna
spin-off
we
story?
figured that out. That's Unravel.
I'm still thinking. Do you have anyone, Lachlan?
Of any other
He
god?
hasn't
Oh,
been here
and,
for a
while.
yeah. I mean, I don't remember his name, but the Dragonborn that we sent off to the farm.
Hevroth.
Hevroth,
Hevroth,
was Hevroth.
yeah.
I don't want to see them come back,
You just want to
but
so you
know.
want- yeah,
I'd love to, like, on our travels, run into him at some
Oh, and he
point.
can speak and look you in the eyes and stuff. That'd be nice.
You know what I'd love
Like a
to
little
see?
family.
I'd love to see for Maple the chemistry between Maple and Elowick. The random like
Yeah.
sexual tension.
Yeah.
In
Dude, that was
first
mostly
Sexual
made
tension.
up by you guys, though.
No, it was how you
That-
phrased
it
it.
was weird.
You were like, "Hey, my name is Maple.
Where are you?"
I want to see you." It was so sensual.
It was
and-
because like you get 25 words, so I was like, how do I
Make 'em
keep
count.
it short? And Maple and I are super awkward.
Oh, you
so
picked all the right words.
Yeah.
You picked all the
it's
right
perfect.
words.
And then I was like, fuck it, I'll run with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit
Yeah,
more
really.
Maple Elowick as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
What if he started an in-game RP relationship with Elowick? She was like your sugar.
I don't think Body Knock would
Looks like your
approve.
sugar.
Do you care what Body Knock thinks though?
No, I
Yeah,
fucking
Body
hate
Knock's
Body
crazy.
Knock.
Body Care doesn't care what Body Knock thinks, man. That man's crazy.
He's nuts.
Alright, Kevin. You're having a hard time right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe I'd love to see more like there used to be that isn't used to be, but we ran into some like snow elves from a different clan. They were from like the Boar clan, and I think Albert just used them just like just because, you
Yeah.
know. And I think I'd love to know more of the mystery of like what's going on back home and like, you know, the snow elves that are here, like what's their story. And I think when we get to that
refugee
port-
castles?
yeah,
Exposition.
the maybe not the exposition, but I'd love to like
That's where the refugees live, isn't it, in mass?
You don't know that.
there's
There's just like a community.
there's a
there.
community in the port city in
You
the
don't know
north
the
coast
refugees
there.
or whatever.
But yeah, I'd love to like maybe run into
I think that'd
like
be cool.
there was a note. There's a note from a snow elf that we killed called Hero the Mage,
Yes.
and he had a note like about his family that was on him. And this guy was like sacrificing kids, but then we found this note on his body, and he was like, I think it was like, "Hero, you're our only hope," or something or other, because something was going on back home. And yeah, I'd love to see like not Hero himself because he's dead, but like the stuff surrounding that particular character is cool. So yeah, lots of potential there.
I
But
do like the idea of exploring more race-based stuff because we have 2 snow elves.
Yeah.
You know, and because it could incorporate more like Japanese feudal culture kind of stuff in, which is always kind of
All the
cool.
clans and stuff.
But like in saying that, I was just thinking it would be cool. I always like the idea of tabaxis because any tabaxi you see outside the living jungle has no idea what's happening within it. And I always like the idea that when 2 meet, it's always like, do you know what's happening? And they go, no.
I've been
do
out
you
for a
know?"
while.
Yeah, it's like, who's been out latest? And the only ones who know actually what's happening are the youngest ones. But the youngest tabaxi are always the biggest assholes.
They're like,
So you'll
"Okay."
never get a straight answer. They're like, it's shit. It's jungle.
Y'all know any information? That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, and like I just like the idea that tabaxis just meet up with each other and go like, what do you know?
What's going on back there?
Like, I just like the idea they're just like, man, I've been out here, I've been learning about flowers,
Not
but
ready to go
man,
back yet.
I'm not ready to go back.
I,
And
I love the implication that tabaxis, like, once they leave home, they just never write letters, never do
Yeah.
anything. They're just like,
have you seen Storm write a letter back home? He saw his brother and went, whoa, shit,
Oh, you're out here too.
fuck, hey. Like, you wouldn't expect to see your family again until you're like in your 40s.
but everyone is like, everyone outside the forest is like on their like pilgrimage type.
Yeah,
thing.
so the theory is
It's like a very Amish. It feels very Amish.
it's kind of yes, it's definitely an insular kind of community, and women are the leaders of the group. It's matriarchy, thank you. And well, not necessarily, I guess. Like, the leader of the town itself is an alpha based scenario, so it's like not alpha in terms of combat, but you have to be able to like show X amount of skills, and then people will trust you enough to be the leader. That can be male or female, but the women are the ones who like protect the town, lead the hunt, do all this kind of stuff, and like much like a lioness would do a lot of that. The males are actually encouraged to leave, go and study, and then they're sent out into the world to just like gather information, because the living jungle is like, I think I have a theory that's like magically protected in terms of like what it is and why it hasn't been touched by other people. There's got to be a reason, right? Otherwise people would have tried to populate it. And aside from the fact there's two-headed lizards and, you know, lizard men and
Crazy
stuff
shit
in there,
that go on
crazy
there.
shit in the two-headed rhinos. But I think the you know, I think that knowledge comes back, and they're actually a really sophisticated race of people, similar to Wakanda, but like, but they still live in trees, in like tree houses and stuff. They don't have ships, they don't have flying ships, but like everything they learn, they come back and they're like, these are the modern things in engineering. They take it and they develop it into their own jungle way. Same thing with like hunting, with equipment, with blacksmithing, and like you go out and it's like, well, you're going to go out and you're going to become a blacksmith if you want to. Like, so Storm's going out. He's become an adventurer, but I'm assuming he'll find his like his niche,
Yeah, like what he's gonna bring back.
because his father was an engineer for the city, so like he was really into like carpentry and like metallurgy and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And you know, I think after a while, once tabaxi matures, they kind of go, "Oh man, fucking weaponsmithing's pretty cool," and just like get
Bring this
really
back.
into
Hell
it.
yeah.
Because I think Storm is the youngest in the party. Apart from, I know Tokel's quite young,
Tokel's like 13.
but
Fuck, I forgot.
Yeah.
this.
Wait, really?
He's
I don't. I feel
13.
like Storm acts the
13 and
youngest.
Dragonborn's like 20 something.
And fuck
'Cause they
the
don't live very
prostitute
long?
At, like,
yeah,
when
they're
it was.
up to
Yeah.
80, I think, or something.
Whoa.
'Cause-
What?
70.
Yeah, Storm's 23.
Who?
Storm, 22, 23.
Yeah, yes.
He's just come out of university, so he's like
Yeah.
pretty
Snow-
immature.
Snow and Maple are like in their 400s, but at this point.
Ryan's a war
But
veteran.
mentally, you guys are both like 200 and something, right? Because there was like a big gap.
Yeah.
So you're both also kind of like 25, 26, right?
Yeah, but that's different.
Yeah,
That's
but-
so different for
yeah.
elves.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we had this discussion, didn't
Yeah.
we? That elves aren't just slow.
Not the best learners. Or maybe they're just perfectionists.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I like to think that the other races like are things that humans can't be. So yeah, elves, they're like when they want to like do something a certain way, like they have to do it that way, even
They're
if it's like
perfectionists.
it's
Yeah.
like the slowest way or whatever.
So when you hear an elf can build a house, they can build a house.
They'll
They
build a
can-
house.
they
They'll
but
build the
they'll-
best
they'll-
goddamn house.
They'll
you
take
see.
decades to like
Yeah.
learn every
Ah.
little bit of it.
Well, you did one in like 3 months.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
but
first
not
house
perfect.
you did. It wasn't
it's not
perfect.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
make like 3,000 more of
Yes.
those before I'm happy
I
with.
agree. I agree. It kind of
Which is-
it like we still learn at the same pace as the rest of the party, like as far as levels go. So it doesn't really make sense that we're super slow learners. But I agree that like to perfect something like takes hundreds of years. or
It's
something.
like we want those minuscule like we take diminishing returns to like the utmost
Yes.
extreme, where you're like learning next to nothing.
I think, yeah, because you've got the lifespan to do it, whereas,
Yeah.
you know, a tabaxi will live till 80 like a human.
They ain't got time for that.
They ain't got time for that, man. I'm just going to go and learn one good thing for 20 years
Yeah.
and then take it back home, teach everyone.
That's it.
And I think because Storm's whole thing was that the leader of the town is a famous bard. So he's like, that's sick, I'm going to go do that, because he heard about the adventuring and stuff. I'm like, no, that's cool, I like that. But character and the race, I think, is quite interesting.
It's a little lore behind that.
I want to hear
A lot
more
of stuff
about
to
this bloody
explore.
Ivory Veil. I feel like I know nothing.
Yeah, I'm really interested in.
Yeah, Ivorville is like, yeah. What's your top 10? Like, what's your top destination next after Hero? I think I
Travel
want
destination.
to see. I want to see Ivorville. We've seen a lot of Ubania from the Ubania one shots.
Yeah.
I want to see Ivorville,
I want to see Aegis, Danathar.
and yeah, I
Ooh,
probably want to see
really?
like the Danathar.
I have I just don't know why, but I've been really drawn to going to Aegis. And we're very far away
That's
from it
destiny.
right
That's destiny.
now. But because I know that your main quest is in Aegis.
It's in Ardia, which is the capital of Danathar.
No, Aegis is the capital of Danathar.
It's Ardia, isn't it? It's called Ardia, the capital city.
I think it's on the Ardian Crag, which is the cliff.
But is the city called Ardia?
I went
The
to
capital, the Denetharian capital.
the Bard College I went to was in the Danatharian capital, so we should probably.
I think it might have changed.
You changed it?
I think it's Aegis now.
It's Aegis now?
I think
Yeah.
so. I'll have to double check.
That's
my
what I
notes
wrote in my
afterwards.
law, but anyway, I think that'd be cool. I think I want to go to the Living Jungle, but the only reason I can see us going there, number one, is that big tree that we need to figure out from my vision.
Mm.
Number two, that's the only reason we need to go there, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the Living Jungle as well. I think that's probably.
Because there's more to explore than Tabaxi
Mm.
there, obviously.
I think the logical progression, or the most likely progression, is once we've done everything in Huria, which might not be for a long while.
Mm.
Living Jungle's
We
off
go,
to the right.
yeah, Living Jungle's off to the right through the Sten Mountains, so there
Yeah.
might be a little stint through the mountains there. Living Jungle, then Ivorvale, which is like the whole like
Next to that,
eat-
yeah.
is the whole western part of the continent with a little
Is
peninsula.
Ivoryville west?
It,
I thought it was like far southeast.
if you look on the map,
It's the
Ivorvale's
top left.
over to the west, and
Mm.
it's like Western Australia where it takes like nearly half the
Oh
continent.
yeah, west. No, you're right. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And I'm kind of interested because there's a lot of like stuff
Mm.
happening there, and I think like, you know, everyone has their own, you know, hands. Like Ubania has their hands in there. Denethar is probably trying to like.
There's a lot
change
of political
things.
intrigue.
Yeah,
in
there's a
that
lot of
area.
like political
That'll be a
strife
hard
going
one to
down.
write.
It's like, I feel like it's like equivalent to like Iraq or something like that. Like everyone is
It's
kind
just
of
a
in
war-torn
there.
country of people
It's-
manipulating.
I don't know
it,
if it's war torn, but there's a lot of like proxying and stuff like that, and like Cold War shit going in there.
So there's like rebel factions backed and weaponized by like Danathar or Ubania, and like
Mm.
I like I agree. I think the natural progression is Living Jungle because it's just there.
Mm.
But then I would love to go Ivoryvale. I think after that, capital of Danathar for me.
I think it will loop around. It will go into Ubania.
Yeah, true.
If Ryan survives, we finish
anti-clockwise.
his arc, and then
We'll
out
go
of
kill Christoph.
Yeah, we'll just.
I don't
Go
know.
dethrone an emperor, you know.
Yeah,
kill God
classic.
Emperor.
Yeah.
Tick it off the list.
We might go
Then
through
we ride
Ubania,
his
and
Skull Dragon out.
then we go then we go all the way up and like finish the campaign in the Crescent Isles, which is like the last
Yeah.
stop.
The climax.
Yeah.
When both your arcs come to an end, maybe.
Yeah.
We all become settled monks.
Yeah.
Up in the
But yeah,
mountains.
That's just
That's so
like
far away.
proposed.
Yo, I know.
timeline.
Yeah, we're
It's so
talking about that
far
proposed
away.
timeline. But man, it took us
One step at a time.
55 sessions
Session 55. I think.
to do so little. And really, the main plot line we're currently on has only been around for 25 sessions, I think.
Yeah.
Which is half the campaign when
It's a
you
long
think about
time.
it.
It's a pretty long time.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. When you translate it, if you translate, let's just average to let's say 5 hours per session, average.
Yep.
Or 4
Maybe-
hours.
Maybe less than
Four.
that.
Let's
I'd
say average 4 hours.
Yeah.
Four.
Still 200 hours, 220 hours of gameplay.
You guys talk a lot.
No, but like it's good.
Yeah.
Like that's how immersed in the world we are. Like that's a big investment of your
It
life.
is a big investment.
And we're not like I reckon there's a solid 250 sessions in this campaign.
That's
How scary
That's
is
5
that?
years? Is that 5 years?
That'd be about 5 years.
I think that's pretty normal
if
for
we
a long.
play
I think that's normal for a
consistently.
long
Yeah.
campaign, but a homebrew campaign
No,
as well.
it's not normal for any campaign because they usually fizzle out like pretty
Yeah, true.
quickly.
Yeah, for homebrews, I
We
think.
are an anomaly, I think.
I think we're lucky that we got you.
We're very
You're
lucky.
very committed,
Yeah.
and you're
It's
a good
I think
DM
it's
is
also
supposed to
for
do that.
everybody.
It's also
You
the
can play on the
players,
shop every
right?
week, yeah.
I think we're all very committed, and it's like we all know that Friday's like
Friday's
Book
D&D
Friday.
day.
people try and book Friday. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah, sometimes I get
Nah.
home from work and I'm like, oh god, I have to go back out. But yeah,
It's your responsibility.
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
You got a date plan, you cancel that date. You got a wedding plan, you cancel that wedding. It's D&D
Sorry,
day.
lady, I gotta roll some dice. You can come along, roll them for me.
Yeah.
It's like
Here,
Vegas.
blow on my dice.
Yeah, it has become
It's a
quite
bit of a
big
ritual.
part
Yeah.
of at least my life. I don't know you guys.
Yeah.
I do look forward to D&D throughout the week.
Mhm.
I think even on Monday, I'm sat at work. I'm like, 4 more days.
Yeah.
I can go.
do
I can
end
go
up-
play Crazy Storm again.
I think I do end up like just thinking about it a lot
Mm.
as well, just outside of the campaign. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
Not at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
And then next, we turn it into our own custom rhythm campaign. We sell it off to Dungeons and
Write
Dragons.
some books.
Sell off
get
to the
rich.
wizards.
Sell off to the
People do
wizards
it,
over at
yeah.
D&D. We commission Games Workshop to make models.
Games Workshop.
Yeah, Games Workshop. And then we create a short form board game based upon like what's the one with the house, the haunted house one?
Oh, yeah, just-
We do like a board game based on some Axia characters.
And then,
It's like Hans and Dorf.
then we get picked up for an animated series, and then like people
Wow.
are like, encore, campaign 2,
Live
campaign
action,
2.
live
Yeah,
action.
we'll go
Wow.
animated series. It'll be like animated like Castlevania on Netflix,
Oh,
We'll do it like that.
nice, yeah.
and it will be
I
like
that.
it'll just be about our journey through the Corrakeen. It won't be anything more than that. It's like one season, all it is that. Then we get cancelled after that season, no, because no one watches it.
But people will be like, oh, do you remember that?
Yeah,
animated
it will
series?
come back into like
Why did it get
Yeah, it
cancelled?
will come back after a couple of years, and after that couple of years, then they'll be like, "We need you to live stream a second session," and we're like, "What?" And whoa,
Making
second
new
campaign.
characters.
and then
the
we all get
next
paid,
step.
just
But I got
minimum
kids
wage,
now.
Yeah. Woo.
and then
Minimum
and then we
wage.
get the second anime, and
Second
that's
anime for the campaign.
that's where that's
two.
campaign second anime, and we all become voice actors,
Okay.
and then we
Then you write a setting, like what's it called? You write a setting, a source book.
yeah,
Source book.
setting source book, and
oh no.
and then it's then we get a live action movie, and it's
Do we
kind of
play our characters?
no, it's kind of no. We get actors in, but it's kind of like Cats, like from 2 years ago. So like
Heavy CGI.
Storm is going to be a human face with a cat fake body, and Tokel's going to be the same.
And everyone's gonna hate it, just like the
Yeah, but we got to pick. I think Storm will get played by like Danny DeVito. Because it's got like the accent for it, right?
Okay.
but not
You
the
know,
height.
I don't know
or
if
the
anyone's
build.
heard. The Storm's accent is very much like Gabagool, like we gotta go save the person and do all this and the thing.
I don't know who I'd cast for Snow.
I think.
Well, it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, no.
Appearance-wise, it doesn't matter, but you need like the
No,
voice.
I figured
Yeah.
I need a musician. I want Action Bronson. You know Action Bronson, the
Yeah,
rapper
yeah,
and
yeah,
food
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I want him to play Storm because he's got the New York, he's got the Queen's accent. He can do music, so he can be like the
He's
rapping.
perfect.
Oh, who would you get to play Maple?
Bro, I don't know. I'd have to get back to you on that one. That's a.
I feel like Michael Cera because it's like the awkward. You're about to go
What are you
through.
trying to say?
Well,
He's
it'd
got to
fit,
be a
wouldn't
bit
it?
taller than that.
Yeah, true. We can put him on stilts if you want. No, the CG. It's
Yeah.
the heavy CG.
The heavy
We just need his
CG.
face.
It'd be CG.
Honestly, I could
Sure.
probably go for like Ken Watanabe as Snow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ken
I can-
Watanabe, that'd be
I can
good.
see that.
And what would you get as... so we've got a white Michael Cera as one of the Japanese...
Yeah.
Konnichiwa. And then we've got Ken Watanabe. And then for Ryan, who would we get?
Tom
That's be
Cruise.
Ryan Gosling.
No, it's got to be Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan
That's
Reynolds.
who it was based
Ryan
off of.
Reynolds.
Wow,
Gosling,
that would
Reynolds.
be-
And
Perfect.
Tokel would have to be like a Vin Diesel or The Rock, or like one of those
The
kind of
kinda
Fast and
edgy,
Furious
yeah.
kind of
That's
guys.
But it
Vin
needs
Diesel.
to be like, has a goofiness to them as well.
That's
I
why
don't,
I think
know, I
The
don't
Rock-
know if Vin Diesel...
That's why I think The
I
Rock
think
would
The
be able
Rock-
to pull it
yeah,
off.
The
wouldn't
Rock
he?
would be
I think The
alright,
Rock would be a
okay.
good Tokel. And then Who would you get to play someone like Passage? Would you go through a couple of the characters?
Jack
Oh.
Black.
Oh, John, what's his
Oh.
name? John Malkovich or something like that.
You get John Malkovich because he's
Yeah.
old. He's got that like quirkiness. I like that.
I think he's got a suitable voice.
We need Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage.
What character do we give him?
Ooh. Who's fucking weird?
Nick Cage.
Strong Jaw.
It'd just be his face.
Remember, it's just his face. This is all CG, so it's just their faces. Remember, we don't. It's not their actual bodies.
His
Nick
face
Cage's
painted
face
green.
on,
It's just face on a
the
goblin, on like a little
like,
2 foot
like on a child's body.
What about
Have you seen?
Brave
Have you seen
Friend?
the movie Willow?
No.
Oh, it's just the most janky. It's got Warwick Davis as a leprechaun. And it's just it's such a good fantasy movie. It's on the same level as like Warriors in terms of like how much I like it, you know.
Yeah.
And so I think Nick Cage is a goblin. You could just do a live action movie about us in Huria.
Then we have the successful CRPG based on the campaign.
Oh,
Wow.
little
Going
CRPG.
there, huh?
Yeah,
It's got to essentially
video
just
we
be
got,
Breath.
we got a business plan and
It'll probably
everything,
come
yeah.
out before Breath of the Wild 2, so we could just copy that mechanics.
and Elder Scrolls 6. It'll just
Yeah.
blow it out of the water.
We'll just do a weird like Elder Scrolls cross Breath of the Wild thing.
Oh, like the Japanese crosser, you just do a
you
crossover
just
with every
smash 2
single
games
every...
together, and we'll make it like a RTS as well. There's like an
Yeah.
RTS part to it.
Yeah.
And then
Then we have Pachinko. We have the Pachinko line.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then we have the,
Eventually,
the pinball.
And then we
And-
become Smash characters.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
That's when you know you become.
That's
the
when you
top.
know you become famous. You get Smash characters.
Okay. Well, I think...
I like it.
I think we've reached the natural.
Yeah, this has been probably one of the longest podcasts, but it's been good. It's been good. I don't think we stopped talking about the campaign
No.
like halfway through that, but anyway, it's good. Anything else? Any closing words, remarks?
There was one question, but it is getting kind of.
Ask it.
Yeah, ask it. We're all here.
Chuck it in.
Okay, so Storm.
Hello.
Lewis mentioned earlier. I don't know why I called you Storm. Lewis mentioned earlier about Storm, about how your mental state kind of impacts the way you play your character, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's ever been the other way around, where D&D has kind of changed you as a
I
person?
actually have been thinking kind of recently, like with the whole body knock situation and me not being able to think on my feet really that quickly or effectively, I guess.
Mhm.
I've been trying to in D&D slow down my roleplay a lot, just like and I noticed Kevin just kind of slows down his sentences and like with your carpentry thing. I was watching you roleplay and like you're not afraid to pause and take it in and formulate a response that really hits harder. And I feel like I'm always so pressured to get out a response and to try and throw in. I'm afraid of the awkward silence. But I've been trying to change that in my roleplay, and I think that also it leads over into like everyday life.
Yeah, I mean,
like just not just trying to throw out a response so quickly. I'm
Yeah, it's like
always
just
guilty of that.
roleplay is like you're just learning how to communicate properly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think even for me, like when I first started playing, I thought role playing was like stupid. I felt stupid role playing. I remember the first me and Albert did like a practice one before we even started Axia, and I remember putting on a voice, and I remember the first thing I was like, "Oh, this is dumb." Like, you have to do, and you were like, "Yeah, no, I know it's dumb, but just do it. Just do it.
Just go. Keep going.
We'll
Keep
just
going.
do it." And I think I've learned to be more aware of like the people around me, and sometimes you just get caught up in yourself and all this stuff that like sometimes, you have moments where like, you know, you might do something or say something and it really affects other people and you don't know it. And you know, Lewis has had that moment, and I've had a few. I remember having a few moments like that at the very start of the campaign, and I still have it from time to time. I've had like a lot of little, smaller moments that kind of build up. So like having that awareness and like going from like a player, like just learning to play for yourself to like playing to enhance everyone else's playing as well, like D&D for everyone is kind of like blend my life to be like, okay, it's not just like about me, but there has to be like a balance, you know. You gotta be like your own person, but also you gotta like look out for the people who like care about you, and you know, we're all in this together. So
I think that was a big thing. Like, I consider myself as a bit of a performer in real life. I mean, I literally do it on stage in real life.
Yes.
So, I was very comfortable coming in, putting on a dumb voice and just kicking off. Because I've been looking forward to doing it since high school. I think I was the first person to start pushing us.
One.
And Albert said, "No, that's dumb and
That
nerdy."
dumb.
And now look at us. But
Oh god.
so I was always very comfortable. Yeah, learning not to be selfish with your roleplay is a massive thing. In terms of mental health, I think I deal with it and I struggle with it quite heavily, and I won't go super into it. But I think is a two-way effect, but not necessarily in the way you kind of said it. It's more if you are having a terrible, let's just say, super depressed day, and everything seems the worst, and you come in and you want to roleplay, that mental process is going to affect your character, because it's a very much, for me at least, it's a very much I don't give a fuck, like who cares, this, you know, nothing matters kind of situation.
Sure.
And that's not nothing matters for the campaign, that's nothing matters for my life. So it's, you know, the campaign looks very small in comparison to that. And you know, you kind of view it as a way of like, this is actually an escape from my mental mindset. However, once your character starts getting influenced in that way, and I think when we introduced like the chaos coin, basically, we kind of had that discussion. It's like, oh, is this reverse affecting you back? And when you're trying to get better from it, and when you're trying to not have that mindset and actively trying to think positively, when you have a character that's now been built around being chaotic and negative, it can affect you and reverse what you're trying to work on. And you know, that's part of the reason why I wanted to roll back Storm into a more fun but caring character.
Yeah.
Because I've spent a lot of time over the last, you know, year and a half working on how I think as a person and how I manage my own internal thought process. So it's about reflecting that, because if you bring up old thought patterns that you used to do, that I used to do, you know, pre-2020, or during a lot of 2020, that was a hard year for a lot of people, but you're just going to cause yourself to spiral a little bit in your real life. So you do have to manage it, because you cannot separate fully, because
It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's your character, it's you, and especially, like I said, I built Storm as essentially a fantasy version of me, or as, what do they call it when like authors write themselves into the book?
Self-insert.
Self-insert.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that. It's like I really identify with this character, and I'm not a furry in any way, but like, so and let's say I wish if I was in a D&D setting in real life, I was a human version of that bard, you know?
Okay, yeah.
And I want to be like that. But because I see so much of myself, it is a lot of myself coming out in that role play. And it's yourself without barriers, basically. So when Storm can throw money for the poor and all that kind of stuff, that's stuff that I think I would genuinely do if I had a shitload of gold, or, you know, cash, I guess, to send out. And so just reflecting that in your life. But then when you start acting negatively, that reality also sets in. So you have that negative reflection of your character, which affects how you think. And yeah, you start saying, fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, it's a very two-way street.
And you have to be genuinely careful with it. And D&D is an escape, and it's a game, and you know, it's a game that everyone puts time into and everyone enjoys. Well, I hope for everyone.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're enjoying it and everyone else is also enjoying it. And you know, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it's a balance.
I think there was a point in time where I was like, do I have to retire Storm for a bit and bring in a different character? There was a point in time we were considering that.
Yeah.
But then we had a bit of a break and we fixed Storm. It's much better now. But yeah, I was going to say we would ship off Storm for a little bit.
Yeah.
And just say he's gone, but he'll be back. But no, we didn't come to that point.
No. So yeah.
Yeah. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I think for me, I think it definitely has had a positive influence. Not just like writing stuff and just getting ideas out there. Because I think it's kind of rare for people these days to have a creative output, a creative expression of themselves. And this is a great way to do it. especially for DMs. I don't know if it's the same for you guys when you write your backstories or whatever. But for me, it's pretty important. I'd say, yeah, pretty big positive, overall positive. Like,
Anything specific?
it might be different for me because I have to play a lot of characters, and so how I like to say, all of my characters are just exaggerated facets of myself. Like, I guess sometimes when I'm in like a shitty mood, I play the shitty characters. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But I'm usually not too bad. So most of my characters are just kind of happy, and the asshole ones are just kind of fun to play rather than like me channeling some kind of negative energy.
If you're in a shitty mood, or our AC is higher. Is it like higher for us to succeed at rolls?
No. To be honest, I don't fudge rolls.
Yeah.
I don't fudge rolls. Like if I did fudge rolls, you guys would have probably been hurt a lot more this session, to be honest. I kept rolling the shitty like paralysis effects. I'm like, no, do some damage. Why are these people dying?
Disintegration.
I want these people dead.
But yeah, I don't know. I try not to bring negative things into the session because it is my responsibility as DM to keep everyone happy. Sometimes it's not possible. And sometimes, sometimes things don't go the way I planned, but you know, that's just it. But yeah, I think overall, big plus. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Should we end it there?
Okay, great. This has been podcast 18 for
18?
session 55.
Longest one.
This is the longest one so
Holy shit.
far.
But it's the first 4-man podcast.
There's more discussion to have.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
It was fun.
Yeah,
It was
thanks.
good.
I had fun.
Thanks for having us.
Great.
You're welcome.
All right, see you guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye.